All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this Labor Day edition of the Juices Loose podcast. Start a little bit earlier than normal because I didn't have to get home from work and get all that, shit done before the podcast. So, yeah, we missed last week. That's my fault. Just didn't feel it. Didn't have anything.
He was feeling constipated. That's what it was.
He was sad about Nintendo exclusives, first party exclusives.
A lack thereof.
I wanted to wait to the Nindie Showcase so we could have 2 hours worth of indie games to talk about, but I gotta say I was wrong. I thought they were gonna just basically do a different voiceover for the UK Indie Showcase, and they showed completely different one. And yeah, so we might as well just start with that. Been just under a week. I don't think there's anything too major to talk about. And I gotta admit, I thought Hyper Light Drifter was out in 2017 on Switch because I swear I seen people playing it, uploading gameplay, so I didn't know that hadn't come out yet. So I was like, damn, that ain't out yet. So for me, like the couple games I actually thought were out, and so I guess it was good that it wasn't just a repeat of the UK one, but I thought the UK one was more.
He did it better.
I think it was a better showcase and had some games, more interesting games for me. But I will say that Untitled Goose game might not be like some 5-hour long game. Might only be an hour's worth of stuff to do. But man, that looked fun, and it was completely original.
I can't wait to play that. It looks
it was unique.
Funny as hell, yeah.
That was definitely a highlight for me. Everything else I pretty much forgot about. Other than Hyper Light Drifter. So anybody else wanna go? Give your thoughts. Take it away.
Honestly, I must say that it's starting to all kind of mash together as far as who showed what. With the indie stuff. But like I'm like you with you said Hyper Light Drifter. I thought Terraria had come out. Terraria, whatever, that came out already, but that hasn't come out yet. But yeah, it was okay. It's alright. A lot of very samey looking type of games. And again, like at the end of the day, does it matter? Am I upset? I'm not upset by it. It's just nothing moved me in the and it, just like I said in my own video. So the best stuff was like in the reel. The call that the fast little
sizzle
reel. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it was stuff we already knew about. And actually, one of those games is out now in Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I wasn't. I'm not upset. I just didn't care too much about what I saw, other than that trolling ass duck. It's tough.
Yeah, I wonder how long they can stretch out that idea into a make that not wear thin. But it looks fun. So
yeah.
What about you, Terrell? Did you any games jump out at you?
I watched it and don't remember a goddamn thing from it. So let's just leave it at that and move on. I ain't got shit because I legit do not remember.
Swimsuits and Xenoblade. That's all I remember.
No, that was what you remembered, sir. Man was getting mad at me. He's like, "How come you ain't posting no pictures of Morag and swimsuits, Terrell?"
Well, I'm like,
I'm not a picture file.
Somebody was like, "Man, I'm getting spammed with all these Xenoblade Chronicles 2 swimsuit." I'm like, I haven't seen one.
Where
you at?
If you follow Super Brothers on Twitter,
jeez,
yeah, that's about it.
How does he have them? Because I know he ain't playing the game.
Yeah, he goes and gets those somehow.
No. That's when you go look up fan art.
Okay.
On the dark web, that's what you go to.
Expose Super Brothers.
Oh God!
Damn, and that reminded me of a game I was gonna play, and I completely forgot to do that beforehand. But next week we'll have something. I got two fun games I think in mind, and maybe wait till Robert gets back. But anyway, Shadow Fox, you check out the Nindie Showcase. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I saw some of it. For whatever reason, there was big hype about Into the Breach. I guess because people thought it wasn't going to come to Switch, and I'm like, why would people not want to get money? So it just made sense to me that pretty much every indie game that wants to be successful is gonna come that way. So I haven't really like Undertale. That should have happened a long time ago. I don't know what.
Time.
Yeah,
You're just not gonna let this go, are you?
Apparently, there's an interview with the Hat in Time, and all I saw was like the headline, and it was like
it's a softball ass interview, by the way.
Blood and sweat and tears. The game, it almost didn't happen. Like, what was so hard about putting that game on the Switch? I didn't read
so
it.
What they have to do is take that Wii U version that they said they weren't going to ever release and just port it. Because they're just
I read the whole thing, and not only I had to read through that vomit-inducing BS they were spewing, but I just felt like this is what I talk about with gaming journalism. Like, the interview was so softball. Like, people, it's so, I don't want to offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do that. You got to do that as a journalist. It's not about you can't walk on eggshells. You have to ask the real questions.
Exactly.
As a journalist, if you're going to be taken seriously, and if you're just going to softball these people, why even have interviews? Just tell them to give you a press release and call it a day.
They want access, T. You know that.
I know they want the access, and that's just.
They probably didn't ask them that the fact that the Wii U stretch goal was met and exceeded.
No, they asked none of that stuff. None of that.
Why didn't they live up to? Why was it ever a question to put this game on Nintendo system? But anyway,
because 13 million Terminator.
Why were you letting the dude? Why were you letting your boy run the Twitter like it was his personal Twitter instead of like it's a business?
Exactly.
Like, all kinds of. It was me.
Speaking of lies by developers on Twitter, but we won't get to that. We'll do that later.
That a little bit.
All right, Clocked It. I know you just made a video yesterday.
Here we go now.
About some indie stuff. I don't know if you want to
get my flame shield up. Let's go.
Because well, let me get your thoughts, and then I'll ask a question afterwards.
Fair enough. So first of all, I think you all have me to thank, right, for us getting Bastion and Transistor right, on the Switch, because I hounded and hounded that developer, right, to bring these games.
You sound like Review Dave USA.
Wow, you savage! Sit down. Sit down.
What did you just say to me? Oh, son of a mother!
Zero chill over here. Sorry.
Yeah, someone go get the ice.
Everybody back out today.
We're cutting right now. It's starting.
But no, I highly recommend Bastion and Transistor. They're both great games, and I'll be triple and double dipping on those bad boys.
What were they out originally on?
I first played Bastion on the 360.
Yeah, but I was saying it's like
those are like
that old.
Yeah. But they're that good. They're that good, so I'm happy. And and then I played Transistor when it came out on PC. So yeah, there are those two games.
I still download right now.
Yeah.
And what was the other game that I really like the look of? We mentioned the message or something like that. It was Zavot. Yeah, Zavot. And you were playing like this cube.
It looked like a tanks almost like game, like from the Atari. At one point, you could like go through the origami like stage and shoot each other like these little squares.
Yeah, that's right. It was called Zavot. That's right. And it first reminded me of Cubivore. Remember?
Yeah. Animal Leader.
Yeah. When I first looked at it, it kind of reminded me of that, even though it's like a completely different game. But yeah, I thought that one looked cool. And there are a bunch of other games, and we mentioned Hyperlight and what was the other game we mentioned? Into the Breach as well, and all that stuff. So there are quite a few titles that pique my interest, and I'll add to the ever-growing wish list, like T. Where it just keeps on growing, and don't have the time to actually play any of this stuff. So it's just, I thought it was all right. There's some stuff in there that I was happy to see. So what was you?
All right, here's the first question.
What was you going to ask me?
Well, for everybody, at this point, with the Switch's success, with the knowing that indie games are doing well. Are you like surprised, or do you even like you said you Bastion and Transistor? Was there? I mean, you didn't know they were coming, but the fact that it's so prevalent that indie games come to the Switch now, did that take away some of the like shock and awe or excitement? Because it's like at this point, it's like I'd be shocked when games aren't coming to the Switch more than.
I think we would all be all fools to, especially with Nintendo and their consoles, to fully believe that all the games that we would like and we would expect to come to that console would actually come there. So every time something does actually come, I'm happy.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that because I don't trust.
With indies,
it doesn't matter with indies. It's like asking for any, even like middleware titles, stuff like that.
Yeah,
generally, even like Deus Ex, Human Mankind Divided. So we had Human Revolution on a Wii U. Would it be nice to see Mankind divided on the Switch because it could do it? I got no qualms of thinking a console couldn't run it, but do I expect that to turn up? No. If it did, would I be interested? Yeah, probably again. It's just, I just now wait and see. It's
that's not an indie game.
Yeah, I think specifically for indie games.
You're talking about indies. I'd have to think of what indie games off the top of my head now I would like to see on the.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Anybody else like feeling like because it's such a success for indie games now, like it feels silly when they're not announcing coming to Switch.
I feel that way.
Yeah. It's just odd to me that it even happened last generation because the Wii U, even though it didn't sell well, indies were successful on it.
Somewhere.
So I just don't. I don't get it. Like, why would you avoid to put Transistor on there and those type of games just don't make any sense to me.
Well, those are surprised to me because they're like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, they easily could have run on Wii U, and they had the extra things you could have done with a gamepad and all that. So
no one liked the Wii U, man. We know that.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot, there was no faith in that console.
It was the porting process too. It was a different setup. It wasn't as easy.
It wasn't as good as the Switch. Yeah.
It's like making
Switch runs everything. So
it's like making it harder for a potential no sale situation.
Right. So it's like no one wants to take a gamble. This is a gamble on top of a gamble.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a couple of games have already been mentioned. Unless you don't agree that it's not surprising anymore when these indie games get announced, is there one that would actually get you like, fist pump or something? A little actual excitement, not just that's cool. I have one. It's kind of a borderline indie game, but if anybody wants, I'll just go first.
What is it?
Mine, it's hard to say. It's an indie studio, but the game got published by Microsoft, and that's Ori and the Blind Forest. What's that noise?
Mike over there.
Sound like someone's wrestling
out the window or what?
He has the mic through the window.
My mic jack is acting up.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was definitely T. I muted him. So
I sound like the Predator. Or sorry.
Hey man, listen, we ain't talking about that Predator, right?
But anyway,
in the gaming community.
All right, how is it now?
Back. It's not.
He's blowing on his mic. That's what he's doing.
Oh, wait a minute. My bad. Hold on. How's that?
Seems to be gone.
Studio fail. Let's go.
Yeah, it's hot here, man. I got the fan on, and it's.
All right.
I got the fan on too, but goddamn,
I'm like right by the motherfucker.
Oh, that's why I was.
I say I got the fan on and a studio light. Let me turn the studio light off since there ain't no camera on. So
you just trying to swag. You just trying to look swag out in your office, man.
And just to clarify for someone in the chat, we're talking about when a game that we previously know about, indie game, gets announced for the Switch. I don't know. The Messenger wasn't that a new game for everybody, or was that already out on PC?
That's a new game for everybody, and I think it's first on Switch.
Yeah, that's so. Talking about like an indie game that's already been out, getting announced. Hey, it's coming to Switch. Like, I know it probably never happened because Microsoft published it, but Ori and the Blind Forest is the only game I can think of where I'd be like.
I was going to say Cuphead, but it's published as well. So
I was like, Cuphead probably would be on the same tier for me. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, now fuck with it.
And I mean, with Microsoft and Nintendo relationship, I mean, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it's
We'll see.
impossible,
That
but
shit hasn't bore anything like a game. Yeah, okay. Other than like Minecraft, that they haven't done anything as far as like the easiest thing I think would be, or the quickest thing, or the one that would make the most sense would be like Rare Replay. Like that would be the game that would say, okay, maybe they'll start bringing games. So that would, to me, that would be the first one they would do. That's kind of outside the wheelhouse of.
That would sell loads on the Switch as well.
Yes, it would.
the problem though was if you remember most of the games weren't on the disc on the Xbox One.
Yeah, that's because it was on arcade or live arcade already.
Yeah,
They were just being lazy. They
you would
could've
just
put it on
loop
the
you
disc.
into the arcade thing, and
Yeah, they could have put them on the disc, but it was
But
just being
it
lazy.
was still a pretty big file size for. So I mean that would be a pretty big package on Switch probably. But anyway, anybody think of any other indie game that's out and hasn't been
Got
announced
a
for
little
Switch?
Steam account so I can figure it out.
Yeah,
I mean, they can go back and put those older Shantae games on the Switch. That'll work.
Well, they have a couple.
No, they only have Half Genie Hero.
I
and
mean,
Pirates Curse.
Yeah, I mean like Shantae and then
There's only two other ones. There's
Risky's Revenge,
and then the
Would that be a
original,
surprise?
and then the original GBA.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be
GBC.
because they were on the
my bad.
Wii or Wii U. Those were all on the Wii U. So
They've announced
Except for the first
Limbo
one.
and Inside as well, haven't they?
those are out.
Yes,
Those are out, right?
Yeah, those are out.
Okay, I missed those.
They confirmed that. Well, there aren't that many left.
Yeah, and pretty
there
much.
aren't that many indie games that would get people excited anymore that isn't already coming out. I mean, what is it? Undertale will be out. Was it this month or next month?
I think next month is
Okay.
Undertale.
Yeah, I think the big hype excitement announcements have pretty much been done.
Yeah, there ain't really anything else you can grab indie wise.
But
Except for their other game, but Sony paid for it hand in hand though. So and apparently it works now. It's not.
No Man's Sky, you talking?
Yeah.
Did we count that as an
Switch
indie?
couldn't run that. What are you talking about?
And then I look at Breath of the Wild.
Because that one indie game that's kind of similar.
It's on Xbox, so technically.
But okay, the last thing, and this could, I don't want to stir up any controversy or anything.
He's fucking
but
lying. I don't know why he's lying to people. You don't give a damn.
I'm
You
kind
don't give
of,
a damn at all.
Nearly killed Shadowfox.
I'm having
You're over here lying and shit.
another factor with the indie games.
Here we go.
Not, getting me excited, and I'm not the biggest indie guy. Like I support indies. I have at least 6 or 7 purchased on my Switch and a dozen plus on the Wii U. So I buy indie games. I like indie games. Some of my favorite, like Hollow Knight, it's one of my favorite games of the last few years, since other than Breath of the Wild. Like it's so good, but
Runbow.
shut the fuck up. But
That's his favorite game. We don't mean the shit out of him.
another layer to this not being super excited, and Clock is gonna probably have something to say, but is just they're all starting to look the same. Like from an art style, not just like the Messenger to me looks like Shovel Knight. And then when it's a 16-bit version, it looks unique. But like the Celeste, Hyperlight Drifter still looks good to me. But some of these new games using that almost exact art direction, not just the pixel art, but it's like it's hard to just be like, wow, that's so cool, because we've and this happens with anything, any trendy, whether it's video games or music or everybody follows the leader type of thing. But for me, I just think it's an extra layer of like, man, I mean these are all starting to look the same from a visual standpoint, and you could say the same like Clocktit's video about first person shooters last gen, like they all started looking the same, and I complain about that too. So
I do want to just real quick get mine in here because I have a feeling Clocktit is gonna have a ball game with this one. So I'm gonna get my opinion out here real quick. I think part of that is due to the fact of it being indies in first place, because what's easier to make or cheaper to make actually, a 2D game or a 3D game?
Well, I don't mind the 2D game.
Well, the reason why I mention it though, because that's part of the issue about games looking the same. They're all in kind of that same side scroller, pixel art, general aesthetic, and gameplay isn't that varied because you're stuck on a 2D plane. So there's not a lot you can do. and part of it is because indie studios don't have a lot of money. There's not a lot of, they don't have the financial backing to get as creative with their designs. On top of the fact that I agree that what you were saying before, if shit sells in a certain style, why not mimic that style?
Exactly.
So I think that's at least that's my thought process.
I agree, but I don't completely agree with that because we had.
This ain't no T. I don't want to hear this half-ass.
we had an 8th gen and a 16 or 8th gen. We had an 8-bit era and a 16-bit era, and there's a lot of genres that just aren't served when it comes to these indie titles.
What they're doing the in-betweens too, because you got like Axiom Verge is supposed to be Super Metroid, but it's done with like NES assets, but it's still able to do the same effects that the Super Nintendo was able to do.
It blows away the Super NES.
What
it can do. I mean, from
it's like level, but it's the weirdest shit. But then the pixels and the colors are from the NES palette, so it's like.
Well, I don't see a lot of Contra-like games. I don't see a lot of brawler beat 'em ups.
Yeah, we need the brawlers to come back.
I don't see a lot of space shooters. There's a lot of genres that they're not really.
You don't see a lot of kart races.
Yeah, we don't see any of that stuff. So this stuff they can do with the cheaper, art styles.
And maybe like a game like Hollow Knight. What a couple people made it. That's one of the best looking 2D games I've seen.
Owlboy, which is a game I just picked up.
So
one guy made that in 10 years.
Yeah. Maybe you just have to be really talented to pull off that kind of art style, and the pixel art's a little. I don't know what goes into turning a game.
Axiom Verge was one dude too.
Yeah, and I think Axiom Verge was like, to me, that's like the first game I can remember that really had that HD pixel art look to it, and it pulled it off really well. But then like Hyper Light Drifter took it in a different direction, and Celeste took it kind of in another direction. But one of those games, like Red Knight's reaction, he thought it was like a Celeste game. It's like, is this Celeste? And it was like that beat 'em, like brawl out looking.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but then it had the Celeste character in the game, so it's like
that's Rayman's in it too, right?
Yeah, they just recently announced that.
Oh yeah.
It's a weird crossover, it really is.
And then Rayman's a 2D game. It's not an indie game, but you can see what a 2D game can look completely different.
You don't see. That's what I'm saying. You don't see 2D platform like there's a lot of these games have platforming elements in them, but they're not like straight up platformers.
I mean,
that's what I was going to say, because I do partly agree that I think I said this in my video where if you do have the overuse of a particular type of art style, then you are going to get fed up with seeing it. Now, do I think there's too many pixel looking games? I don't think there's too many. What I feel is that you do need those in all of that mix. You do need those few good games that do stand out. That we do get those. And going back to like we were talking the SNES and stuff like that. You tell me how many games from these indie guys, if they're talking about copying the SNES and stuff, how many games look like Super Mario World or even Yoshi's Island? Can you think of any?
Yeah, really.
I can't think of freaking any. Or then if you want to go just a bit more, how many games look like Kirby's Epic Yarn?
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of genres they're missing though. Like there's no shmups for the most part. There's no Gradius or R-Type or anything like that really going on.
Few, but not as many. Nearly enough.
And I like that point about Yoshi's Island.
Anything. It's like, okay, we get it. You guys like Metroidvania, we got it. There's so many of them. And
just imagine someone took the Yoshi's Island art style and put 1080p. Amazing. How amazing would that look?
Yeah, I lighting effects and all that. That'd be cool.
I wanted that from Nintendo, since the N64, because even Nintendo themselves, as you might not like to admit it, they abandoned 2D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking pure hand-drawn 2D now. Like Super Mario World, like Yoshi's Island and stuff. That almost got forgotten. We had the odd few games like Wario Land, Shake It, and Kirby's Epic Yarn and
Paper Mario.
Yeah, Paper Mario and stuff. But in terms of you think like Donkey Kong and Mario themselves, and it just they seem to
2 generations they skipped.
Yeah, I mean the GameCube, hardly had anything. That the N64 hardly had anything, and it wasn't until the Wii then when we got 1 or 2 more, and you're just like, okay, thank God. And then they look great. Wario Land Shake, it looks great in that 2D art style, same as Kirby Epic Yarn. They're beautiful games, and I done a video asking for more 2D art styles, especially from Nintendo. I want a Mario that looks as good as Ori and the Blind Forest, or something like that. They can do it, and they would absolutely murder it. It'd look amazing. I do want that. So I want that from Nintendo, and then from these indie guys, I do want to see more games that look like I said, Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island and stuff like that, because we get the odd pixel-looking game that is great looking, but I will agree that you can rinse an art style. But the point in my video was that it doesn't just happen with pixel art games, and I feel like I know it does feel like right now in that we're getting an overabundance of indie games. There are some great freaking indie games that we've gotten on the Switch, but within those overabundance, you're never going to get a complete list of great games. There's always going to be the trash. You have to skip over it and pick out the goodness. So
yeah, I don't want to be mistaken either. I'm not saying it's hit critical mass. I'm just saying at this point, I'm starting to see with this pixel art style, like, okay, it's caught on now, and it's getting a little too much. It's not anywhere near like an issue, critical mass. Like, oh my God, this everybody's doing it. But I'm just kind of at the beginning seeing it like this is starting to be the trend. This is the
there's
trend
a little copy paste a little bit. Yeah.
They'll feel it. They'll feel it soon. The sales will start affecting the games where they don't start differentiating themselves too much.
You can make a cool game like a large, an ambitious like scope to it, but in a 2D.
Yeah, that's
something they can do.
That's what I wanted to get into. So the tech has advanced well beyond the limitations of those generations. So if you want to go back to that, you could do an even larger version of something like Baldur's Gate. You could go back. You could do something like that. You could do a Populous. Yeah. You could do just imagine what a new Marble Madness would look like. Just all those different types of games, like any type of shooter I mentioned before, but a shooter that you can take in multiple directions and 3D axis, that type of stuff in that same art style would be
the Wii. You go back to the Wii, and the Wii had quite a lot of games like this. What was that marble game I played? I actually got it. It's Koro Rimpa or something like that.
Koro Rimpa.
Yeah. That was kind of similar like that. And the Wii did go back to those. A lot of those old art styles, and we started getting those old arcade games, and and just all this stuff that I feel like the Switch needs now. It needs to start getting those Switch specific games. I feel like we're gonna get it.
Man, the Wii Shop was on point. I think a lot of people slipped on that.
WiiWare had some pretty awesome titles.
Yeah, but we're talking about.
You had, sorry, just one more juice. We had Lost Winds as well. Lost Winds was freaking good.
Yes, Lost Winds was good.
And that's stuff you can do now for the Switch, and it looked beautiful. It'd be relatively simple to make, even with those 2D, 2.5D, graphics.
The game.
Yeah, exactly.
Desert Strike. Somebody make a Desert Strike.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
Just not EA.
Look, I mean, at this point, it'd probably look photorealistic, but
yeah.
God damn, what was I gonna say? Oh, like a game like Limbo came out like probably close to 8 years ago now or something, and we didn't see any other. I don't remember any games like copying that art style.
No, it just ended up being the next game after that.
So you got like that. I'm sure Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm sure that kind of hand drawn looking gorgeous art.
I can think of one game. What was it? The Shadow's Tale on the Wii. Shadow's Tale on the Wii.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Like
kind of went for a similar type of thing. Yeah. It was a bit brighter, but
it looked cool at first, but then I think it kind of lost any momentum by the time it came out.
Yeah.
But it just seems like there's more than enough art styles they could use, and maybe it's like I said, I don't know game development, so I don't know how hard it is to turn that stuff into a game environment. But the ones that do it, like Hollow Knight, like I said, like I just got to this area where there's like spiders crawling in the foreground across the screen. Yeah, it's like it's just so well done. I don't know how the hell they did that, but
the atmosphere in that place is so good, so good.
It's good, but Yeah, next topic is we're going to talk about visuals some more. And we got some
Graphics, you
controversy.
say.
We got some
We're gonna talk about
controversy.
visuals?
What's the difference between visuals and graphics? We got to have a debate. Remember that?
Wow.
Mm.
Like on Shokios or something.
Throwback.
Debating the difference between visuals and graphics.
Oh my god.
That was the generation people. So Spider-Man shown 2016, 2017, and again in 2018 at E3. And someone figured out that one scene that was exactly the same in the game as far as the area of the game, the part, the cinematic, everything. And noticed there was like the puddles were missing, the infamous puddles, which had like all this city reflection.
Splash.
And like I've never said it, and I said it in my Juice Opinions. I don't know. I wish I would have had it on record. I was always a little skeptical of how good that game looked back in the day, but I was like, graphics have come along, PS4 Pro, So, I don't care that the game doesn't have puddles anymore. Like I keep saying this, and I don't know if it's getting through. Like to me, it's just, why is this shit still happening? And maybe some of you don't care. We already got thumbs down just for the title about the Nintendo Switch Online, so I'm sure this topic's gonna get some thumbs down. But to me, Sony knew 4 years into the PS4's life, like they know what the PS4 was capable of. So unless something else changed and they just that couldn't run anymore, I don't know, or that was completely bullshit and they did it knowingly, I don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know. But it's just, to me, it's funny to see people on both sides, kind of the extreme both sides of this. So I guess I'll just get everybody's take, and we'll see where the conversation goes.
I'll go last.
Probably for the best.
And again, like I personally don't care about how Spider-Man looks now. It still looks amazing. I think it still looks great, the final product. But I don't like that they put forth the effort to make the game look, like I said in my Juice Opinion, it looks almost like movie quality CGI back in 2017. Like it looked, I remember people were just like, oh my god, like wow, that's gameplay. So I don't like being deceived, or the when a company tries to deceive people like that and put one bias, because it didn't get found out until the final game comes out and someone actually.
And what's the point of deceiving people? It's Spider-Man. It's gonna do well. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, that's why I don't get.
Even doing that. Like,
and this developer isn't known to make bad open world games. Well,
right.
They have been known to make bad
What
games.
was their last game?
Right up their alley.
They did Sunset Overdrive before this. That was their test.
Okay.
Are they the ones who do Ratchet and Clank, or am I wrong on that?
See, that's what I was getting mixed up. I think I mixed the Infamous team.
That's Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
Don't know.
Well, Sucker Punch is Sly Cooper. I'm sorry.
It's Insomniac.
So Insomniac does do Ratchet and Clank.
They were the Ratchet and Clank team, yeah. And I was, for whatever reason, I thought they were the Infamous team, but I could not remember they were the Ratchet and Clank team.
They were Infamous.
So they've worked on
Sly
the
Cooper
PS4.
Sly Cooper team did Infamous.
So they've done. They've worked on the PS4. They had a game, Ratchet and Clank, good looking game on the PS4. So they knew what the system was capable of. So that's a fact. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know everything that went into it. But anyway, next person wanna.
Yeah, hey, they'll let T go first.
Everybody's so nice tonight.
I'm trying to be polite. You just going to call you a motherfucker and then just move on? No.
We're trying to have some motherfucking courtesy.
Exactly.
Like, first I just heard the puddles thing and I was like, all right, the puddles are missing. But if you look at it, it's more than the puddles. Obviously, the textures are a lot blurrier. It's like, you can tell. It's at the end of the day, it still looks good though. Like I just don't understand what the point of it was. Like, and then the thing that drives me the most insane, because we've had these problems before. You guys follow me on Twitter. You saw my tweet about Deshaun Long about his video about it. Like, we've had issues before. We've had it with like Watch Dogs.
Yep.
Like Watch Dogs was the one that broke me, because I was really blown away by Watch Dogs. I was really excited for it, and then it just got worse, and it just got worse every time we saw it after that. And it's just like, that's before I realized that was Ubisoft's thing. That's just kind of what they do. And So I'm looking at like Cyberpunk 2077. I'm like, yo, that game. I watched the whole 48-minute, I think, gameplay thing, and I'm like, this game is going to be this intricate, this wide open, and look like this on my base Xbox One. Like, I don't believe it. Like, and they've gotten in trouble before with Witcher 3. So this is
I was looking in the
them.
distance, and that specifically, not to be a graphics whore, but I'm just like, this is really impressive. I look in the background, there's nothing popping in, there's no textures popping in. So I'm like, I think you're right. That would probably be the next. That'll definitely.
It's gotta be. If you're gonna run this on the base Xbox and base PS4, like, there's no way this thing is gonna be able to run and look this good at the same time. I just don't believe it. Like, it's just like, why do this to people, man?
Especially like, with how good games look.
The games already still look really good. I would be happy with what it's actually capable of. But you're bullshitting me, and it's just pissing me off because it's like you're trying to pull one over on me.
It's more than bullshitting. They take time doing this. They capture 1 frame a second on the console. Then they get a sound guy to match the sound up so they can produce the trailer for you. Okay, that's what you.
People even go back. People go all the way back to like Infamous, or not Infamous. People go all the way back to Killzone 2. That
Killzone 2 and Motorstorm.
But here's the thing about Killzone 2. Like, the developers was like, no, what are you doing? That was Sony's call. Sony knew that shit wasn't in game, and the developers were like, what? They said they were sitting at home, like, what are they doing? Saying it's in game. Like, so that was their call. They purposely deceived people.
And I think I just had a revelation about it, because that was trying to sell the PS3 to $600 system to people.
Right.
Yep.
The Motorstorm one was also the trailer. If you guys go back and watch that, like, the PS4, I don't even think could handle what they showed for Motorstorm.
Yeah.
And the PS4 Pro was launching, in 2017. I think did that come out in 2016 or 2017?
2017, because I bought it like before the Switch.
It was last year.
Out.
It was last year,
Yeah,
right?
it came out before the Switch came out. So, they would have already. This PS4 Pro was already out, but still, I think they were really trying to sell it, and maybe that could have been the motivation. I'm just trying to think of the motivation for it, but.
Wait, the Xbox One X came out after the Switch, and the PS4 Pro came out before the Switch, right?
Yeah, the PS4 Pro came out before the Switch.
So 2016.
It was 2016.
It probably came out late 2016.
The year before Xbox.
And they showed that
the PS4 Pro wasn't out that long before the Switch. But it was like a good 6 months, I think. But anyways, I guess to get my thoughts and opinions, because my biggest issue is more so along the lines of the fact that the only way we'll find out if a game is bullshitting us is when people got it in their hands. That's literally what happened, I believe, with Watch Dogs, when people got it in their hands, and it was and people were just showing videos and clips of the game glitching out, people falling through floors and shit. Like, my issue is, look, okay, fine, maybe you overshot what you thought the game could run. That's a mistake. That's fine, but be upfront about it. At least tell the consumer in advance. And that's like my biggest offense with Spider-Man. Because from what I've heard, Spider-Man sounds like a great fucking game, and I would hate to see a great game get shat on purely because the fucking developer or Sony or whichever, or both in this situation, didn't just tell you in advance, yeah, we aimed for something, we couldn't quite hit it, but it still looks good. Because people are shitting on it partially because the only way we find out is, oh yeah, by the way, the review copies just came in. Like, just people don't realize how much developer honesty would go a long way with that shit.
A long way.
Because people think, oh, well, I don't want to come out here and admit that I fucked up. Yeah, but would you rather me call you out on it and then you have to backtrack and tell me, oh, it's a different time of day and the fucking and we using a different light box. That's the reason why Spider-Man's suit textures.
Let me just interject this one thing. The thing is, like, I don't care that there's a downgrade, right? But when you lie, when you tell me my eyes are lying to me, that pisses me off. I don't want to buy your damn game.
Yeah, because it's condescending. It makes it sound like you're trying to call me stupid. Like I don't know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, and then you proceed to tell me, "Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about." Oh, we just changed the light box and we just moved some, and the lighting's a little different. The game still looks the game. You're being dumb. But here, give me that $60.
I didn't even know they were denying it.
Give me that.
Yes, that's what makes it worse.
That's what makes it worse. And it's like, oh, hey, give me that $100 and something for that collector's edition. You know, it's not like the game is any different from what we showed you. No, just go ahead and give me the money for it. And that's the problem. If you don't fucking lie to me about it and just treat the customer with some level of respect and dignity, people don't mind it. Because even people who are making videos talking about the downgrade still say, "Oh, well, the game still looks fine even in its changes." But it's the fact that you wanted to pretend like, "Oh no, we didn't say anything." What? We can see it.
Tell me I'm lying. I can see.
Let me come in here, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, as harsh as this sounds, you do not matter, right? To any of this, no matter what downgrades we believe we see, whatever, it don't matter, because those trailers are designed for one thing, right? And that's to capture the attention of the casual world. And that's exactly what they do. No one's going to be watching these websites. No one's going to be watching these videos. When Spider-Man released, they know they're getting a Spider-Man game that looks fantastic, and they won't care. And from my point of view, what was I going to say? I already had this in my head when I was going to say, is that when I was first watching all the Spider-Man footage, I was waiting for actual gameplay, right? Because you could tell when you're watching, and you can see this with Cyberpunk as well in portions. You can tell when the trailers are scripted, even when someone's playing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things are set out in a certain way. And the vast majority of the Spider-Man trailers that I always saw were very scripted. I never saw your day-to-day gameplay, what you would be doing out on the streets, swinging around all this stuff. They never, they barely showed any of that. It was always just him out in that construction yard, flying through the city, suddenly then going through a thin pipe that's hanging from a crane or something, and then chasing a helicopter and all this stuff. I was like, do you know what? At the end of the day, they need to make this game look as good as possible, because it's just a Spider-Man game. What else can you do with Spider-Man? So they have to make it look as good as possible to possibly gain the interest of just the general gamers that are there. Never mind the casual ones, but the general ones are there. So when I look at them, I'm like, this is just a Spider-Man game. But it looks stunning, and that's not enough for me. That's not enough for me. So that's why
that's a good point, because everything they showed looks so unbelievable. Like you said, he's swinging around. All of a sudden, he's going through this narrow pipe, and I'm the kind of guy, I do want to see him just. What happens when you're just walking street level? Like, I've seen a few clips now of people jumping off the Freedom Tower and swinging. Is that automatic? I don't know. I have a feeling if you don't press anything, he'll just swing and not just splat on the ground. But I never believed really anything I was seeing, so I wasn't shocked at all. From a gameplay standpoint, I'm just like, what are you actually doing? There's not a single button prompt on screen. A few times there are, but it's like, what are you actually pressing? How do you know to press the triangle, which is what Batman, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight used for the counter move.
This is what Sony do though, and when I was watching, I remember everyone getting pumped about the Last of Us 2 trailer, right? When they showed the Last of Us 2, they're showing Ellie and all this stuff. Trust me, that's I truly believe most of that was scripted, because the stuff that they were doing in that trailer, for example, when she's sneaking up behind some guy and then she dashes to the side, but how she dashes to the left, animation-wise, she perfectly slams into the car that's, the broken down car that's next to her, rolls out of the way and all this stuff. I'm like, you're not doing this. No way in freaking hell you're doing this. And then she's fighting these guys in a shop, and then she's like sneaking up behind someone, and someone jumps on her, throws her over the counter. She rolls behind the counter, perfectly, lands behind the counter, and then ducks right behind the counter. So I'm like, hell freaking no. And if that actually happens, then I'll tip my hat, because that's truly next gen in terms of environmental awareness for the player and the character, because there's stuff in there you have never ever seen before in any video game ever.
Yeah, and I thought that with the first
collision detection,
the first Last of Us reveal, I was like,
I was going to say, when it showed that,
I'm telling my PS3 fanboy I worked with, I'm like, that's some bullshit. That exact area exists in the game, and you can't recreate everything that happens, because every interaction, every time you die and start over, it's different.
If Naughty Dog pulled it off, I'd tip my hat, but I just don't believe it.
Because they pulled off that, and I thought that was impossible. Uncharted 4, seemed to live up to what they showed the first time.
It didn't quite look as good as that.
Yeah, the lighting model was completely
Other
different.
than the very beginning one where they're like, oh, in-game engine where he's just walking on the beach. But as far as for me, Naughty Dog has not. They get a pass until they really bullshot. So I'm cautiously optimistic with Last of Us Part 2 that maybe they did, because they did say they worked on the transitions of the animations and everything. So we'll see. But that was a question I asked my Juice Opinions. How confident, even if you don't care and saying there's no, it's not a big deal, like Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2, like how confident are you that that final game is going to look like what they showed? I mean, I'm about 20% confident, like I'm expecting there to be graphical and gameplay downgrades on both those games, which, I mean, I'm not a big Sony fan.
So I don't know how detailed you want me to be on this, but so when I saw the 2 screenshots,
and real quick, let me just screenshots in video are completely different, because you see, there's some puddles and reflections, but when you watch that 2017 at full, like 1440p or whatever, I can watch it on YouTube, that shit looks like amazing. I mean, I would expect the PS5 to not be able to look much better, if any better than what they showed there. So anyway, I think the video tells it more than just the screenshots was the point.
So what does everybody remember what the Zelda demo looked like on the Wii U when they first showed
the tech demo,
the 2011 tech demo?
Okay, when Aonuma was sitting in front of the.
You clicked the fingers, right?
No, not that one.
Oh, you mean like that tech demo? Okay.
Yes, the tech demo with Ocarina of Time.
And people said, "I wish it looked like that."
So that's a targeted demo just to show all the type of effects that the GPU could do in real time, right? That wasn't a full sprawled out open world game, which is what Breath of the Wild ended up being, and which is what Spider-Man ended up being. So while I can expect those certain things to happen, like close range with local lights and in certain areas, like confined spaces, in an open world game with dynamic lighting from a infinite light source, with i.e. the sun or what have you, happening at the same time in an open world scenario, no, it's not going to happen. And there's going to be some concessions for that. So when I first saw the Spider-Man demo, I already knew that it was basically a vertical slice or whatnot. And hopefully it would have been a playable demo at some point, which I don't think there's ever been a playable demo of this game, which is kind of weird to me.
E3 this year there was.
E3 this year there was. Was at E3 this year, do we have any footage? I don't know if there's any footage of it.
Robert played it and he loved it.
Would he agree with the assessment as far as the footage looks the same as it does in the trailer?
I don't know.
Okay, well, so I guess one of the weird thing is that, so in those instances, you can tell in the vertical slice, if you will, that certain things were paid attention to maximize the potential of the platform. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat from video standpoint, like you mentioned before, like you can see it in video and you can see it in a screenshot. But if you just look at the screenshot, because that's a little bit more easier for people to take advantage of, as far as like looking left and right versus looking at frame by frame. You can tell multiple things are happening. A lot of multi-texture was taken away from the Spider-Man character model itself, which is why you don't see the specular highlights on his suit when he's there, which is kind of fake lighting anyway, because if the sun is behind him, why would the sun be shining on top of the side of his face where the sun isn't? But it just looks good, I guess, in practice. But that type of stuff was taken away from the shot that was on the right from the screenshot in question. And then in the video specifically, you can see as Spider-Man is moving toward those puddles, it completely reflects everything in the environment. That is a cubic bump map of everything that was rendered in that frame. If you look at any of the video from the Spider-Man commercial or anything recent now, all of that footage is literally, there's a JPEG inside of that water puddle. So it's a drastic difference. And then when somebody asks, hey, Insomniac, is there a downgrade over here? And you say, no, there was no downgrade. We moved the puddles. Like, okay, you did not only just move the puddles, you changed how dynamically they react to the environment as well. The light doesn't bounce off of it. the environment is not shaped inside of it. It's just a picture. And it doesn't refract at all. Like it is a static image that isn't modified at all as you move throughout the scene. So, and also, I don't know if you guys notice also, but every shadow is kind of like a circle until you get closer to it, and then the light affects it. That was the other difference that I noticed as well in the graphics engine. But these type of things, when there is no reason for a developer to ever say, you know what, yeah, but we wanted to make sure that this worked, the right way. They should have just said, they knew ahead of time, hey, look, we got a PS4 Pro out here. We want to make it look good. It also has to work on the launch PS4. We understand this is an open world game. We can't make it look like this from frame to frame if it's not going to be a closed corridor type title, right?
So do you think it was running on PC then, probably back 2017, or?
I think it wasn't, but I think it was a vertical slice. So basically, in every scenario, everything was catered to just running that scene. And as soon as you went into another area, the tube or what have you or whatever, everything is eliminated from rendering. And then you go back to another area and you're swinging the webs, and then you're attacking somebody else. All that stuff is gone. It's all been culled out of memory at that point. And then, but now if you're talking about an entire game, you land somewhere, you have a HUD up here, and you got to go do missions. All that stuff has to be in RAM. So now you got to make concessions somewhere, because all that stuff that was dedicated to that one scene, those 8 gigs of RAM dedicated to that one scene is not there anymore, because it's got to render the rest of the game that you're playing. So that was just one of the things I saw there, and I'm like, why would you lie about that? And now you got the Sony fanboys out here using your comment basically to defend themselves, and I'm like, we can clearly see what's happening here. It happened with, like you said, with Watch Dogs and everything else. Like at some point, you have to say, look, this isn't a vertical slice anymore. There's a whole open world game here to render, and it's not going to look like this.
So we had to we wanted to get a locked frame rate. We had to just turn down some effects and stuff. Like, I mean, it'd be done and over with. It probably wouldn't be talked about at this point.
We're pretty savvy. We're pretty savvy. We understand these things happen.
And I want to ask, because a couple people in the chat acting like, or saying that Xenoblade Chronicles X looked worse the next time we saw it. I thought it looked way better than the first time we saw it. But that's
two things happened with X. First was pre-alpha footage that looked a little bit more realistic, but it also looked worse. So you had areas that were rounded in the final game that were actually, like, you could clearly see polygonal edges on certain surfaces and stuff like that. And the entire backdrop of the entire footage was a JPEG. So whereas we know what Xenoblade Chronicles X ended up being, if you could see it, you can fucking go there. Versus, what was in the trailer. So obviously, we got a little lighting engine. We can make stuff a little bit more real and whatever. And then the following, I think it took another 2 years. I think it missed E3 1 year, and then it came back. And then when it came back, it showed, I guess, whatever the engine was, the cutscene of you getting into the scale for the first time, which you won't see for 30 plus hours if you actually play the game. But they showed that cutscene, and they changed some stuff in the cutscene. The engine didn't really change at all. Not at all, because when you see, like, there were some lighting changes from when you get inside of the scale or what have you. But then when they showed the tower and everything else that was happening in the game, all of that stuff is still in that game.
This is the bullshit that happens when people try to defend bullshit.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video right now, and I'm like, you think this looks better than the final game? Like, are you kidding me?
Some people, I do remember that whole debate.
I remember it too.
In the chat.
People did bring it up, but I didn't necessarily agree. But I can see how people could make the argument.
Yeah,
has everybody here beaten this game yet? Has everybody beat?
Wait, X?
Close. Okay, so your journey to go to the final chapter, that last little area you need to go to, is like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Because you could turn around at some point and you literally see the entire game behind you.
Oh yeah.
And then you land there in this massive landmass you land on, or you're getting attacked while you're there, or what have you. And you land, and then you get out of this giant scale, and then you and your whole party are standing in front of it, and all this shit is still going on in the background.
Yeah, that's what
and water effects and
like the epic battle that's still occurring in the sky around you as you're going into that last area. Like, that is amazing.
I'm looking at
that. Enough credit for it.
Initial reveal right now.
So, like, one of my videos I did, I think it was Nitpicky Gamer. I did a video talking about something he got completely wrong, talking about cloud storage. I actually had that footage in that video, And every time I watch that video, I'm amazed again because I'm like, I did that. That's crazy, and that's 720p, mind you. But still, like that is amazing. And we knew when we saw the footage of that game to begin with, it was going to be 720p. Mm-hmm. And that game engine changed over time. It wasn't the same engine. And hey guys, it'll be out next week. Here you go. Oh, it looks drastically different. Sorry, no, we saw what that game looked like.
And they did. After that.
Yeah, and they put out 3 YouTube videos to show you how the game looked.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing happened with Breath of the Wild too. We got what 3 E3s of what would end up being the final game, and there was no downgrades from that. The only downgrade was from what Anuma stood in front of whatever, and then you saw the shiny rock, and the shiny rock wasn't in the final game. Oh my God, how dare there be a targeted demo?
Changed, so that doesn't mean a downgrade.
Yeah,
I will say I hadn't watched the 2014 reveal for Zelda U back then since I played Breath of the Wild, and I will say I would have. Yeah, I don't know that the Wii U, even if the landscape stayed the same, if the Wii U version would have been able to. Because I mean, I was pretty impressed watching that 2014 reveal, and I was like, I'm not sure if that would have been possible on the Wii U. It's clean with the draw distance, but
doesn't the game look exactly the same on the Switch?
It might have been possible. Looking at the 2011 demo for Zelda, it probably could have been possible for a vertical slice if that's what he was just showing. But even then, I wasn't expecting for a Guardian to blow up a bridge in the final game. Like, I don't know what people were thinking. Like, so you see this, they just wanted to show you the open world part, the winds blowing, all that type of stuff.
And they probably changed too.
That's not a downgrade. That's just a scenario that didn't happen in the game. That's still not a downgrade of the visuals. Because the visuals still look that good. I'm sorry. I looked at it like 1,000 times last night.
Yeah, it is. So I don't know what. I guess RGT85 was trying to say that his point was trying to get at, hey, this has happened before. Look at Watch Dogs. Look at whatever. And then he had to cover the Nintendo angle.
That's what it felt like.
He just didn't have a good example.
He didn't have a good example for Nintendo.
And then he used a terrible photo.
That was a terrible photo.
So Nintendo is never. They're usually going to be the exception to that rule. I'm pretty sure there's a game out there that did get downgraded before it launched, but typically Nintendo is the exception to the rule. You end up seeing something that looks crude, like when they showed Breath of the Wild in 2015. And it was just Anuma and Miyamoto playing it off screen. Yeah, and that was horrible compared to what we're playing now. And Star Fox looked horrible. It was an N64 game, and then they added some effects on top of it. So
yeah, I mean,
Odyssey, not Odyssey, 3D World. Remember 3D World the first time we saw it?
3D World as well. It was super simple.
I think Odyssey got a nice,
but even
Odyssey as well. But I was specifically thinking about 3D World the first time we saw it. And, it's just Super Mario 3D Land. People were saying upscaled or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then the next trailer came out. Oh my God!
Yeah, they're like, here are these high res textures. Here you go, boom.
even as Zelda demo with Anuma and Miyamoto, I think it was like the Game Awards, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the same year, 2014.
Yep. December, December.
Even that game was different to the final Zelda game, because if you remember, they were talking about stuff like when they like hinted at this is where you this leads into a dungeon, and he went between 2 pillars.
The Game Explained went through the whole video,
there's loads of different areas and stuff. It was a different game, man.
That game changed massively since then.
Where there's no torch lights leading up to anything like that. The torch lights that was on the trail.
And I will say, there are times a day, certain areas when you're not when you got dirt or flat grass instead of actual tall grass, where Zelda's like, there's times where I'm like, this isn't the best representation of the final of the game. Let's say if it's daytime, I'm out in the middle of Hyrule Field with the blue sky and the sun shining, and the grass flowing in the wind, looks amazing. Then there's other times where it's like overcast, where it doesn't look as good. And I think that's what
it's like a PS2 game.
I think that's what the Spider-Man guys were trying to say with the different time of day and stuff, because
so Juice, what I was just mentioning when I was talking about Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, there's a drastic difference between then and now in the final game. I was talking about the Wii U version, not even Switch yet. So there's concessions, definitely.
The screenshot, there's a screenshot of the 2014 Zelda footage. There's also obviously the video, but the screenshot has been doctored. You look
Oh,
at
yeah,
it,
that was
that
enhanced.
shit has like, it has color enhancement, and it's definitely a lot more contrasty. It's very easy to tell that. So.
Either way, Nintendo, even if Zelda was in some people's mind and doesn't look as good, Nintendo's usually, like we gave a bunch of examples, they usually start with the pre-alpha, get the game where they want it, and in the last few months they polish it up and see where they can increase the visuals, little details, the resolution. What on Switch, there's Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, both went from 720 to 900 in the last few months, so they usually try to start low. Which I think maybe it doesn't have as much of an impression, the first impression, but I think the second and third impressions work better. And we're all Nintendo fans, so we're used to seeing the game get better as we see it, in development. It seems to look better each time. So I think maybe that's.
I think we find the games themselves change more than anything else. When I think back to all the previous early footage I saw of, like, especially Nintendo games I loved, like F-Zero, like Mario Sunshine, like Metroid Prime. If you remember the early footage of those games, they were radically different to what finally came out.
Metroid Prime, especially,
yeah. Metroid Prime looked like kind of crude.
It was pretty crude, yeah.
There's stuff in Twilight Princess that didn't even make it into the full game. They constantly just work on the games as they go along, not showing you fake graphics, but there's clearly ideas that happens and then something changes. So they either have to remove something to put something else somewhere else or whatever. And we heard all the stories about Wind Waker and dungeons, and just stuff like that. But even the early Wind Waker stuff, you remember, was compared to the final game, is fucking night and day. It didn't go backwards. It just went forwards in terms of how it looked. And we mentioned Wii U stuff and with Super Mario 3D Land and stuff like that. It just I don't understand. You might be able to pick out one or two examples, but let's not.
It's every game. Even Nintendo Land, when they showed that, and that was the end all for their E3 trailer, and everybody got mad. Like, that ended up looking way better when the platform launched too. So they added little graphical effects here and there, and you can just tell that that's what they do. They build checkerboard blank areas, throw character models in there, and say, "Is this fun? Yeah, okay, we'll keep it.
Yeah,
what character we're gonna put in this? Okay," and then they go from there. They don't even worry about any of that other stuff until they're done making sure the game works.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't think it's as big of a deal like as some people want to make it out to be, but these summer months when there's not as much to talk about, I think that's why the stories gained some traction. But for me, after the Watch Dogs wasn't just a visual downgrade. The entire
gameplay downgrade,
game world, everything that happened in that demo that basically was so stripped down in the final release. And I can give that a little slack because they were doing target renders for what the next gen might look like, and then they made it a cross-gen game, and they kind of shoehorned themselves into having to strip it back. But still, you do something like that, and I can't think of another Ubisoft game where they did that since. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not that bad.
Ghost Recon, I don't know about that. Oh yeah, that first thing they showed, very first time, like blowing through a wall and stuff. Yeah, definitely didn't.
So does that shit a lot.
But it's like
I'm pretty sure Assassin's Creed won't look the way that it did in E3 last year, but at least it'll be closer or represent. Now that they know what the hardware is capable of, in the lowest end of those 8th generation platforms, they know what the capabilities are now instead of the target PC specs that they were given. So maybe they can come up with a more believable demo. I don't think there will be too many downgrades coming from what they showed of Assassin's Creed this time. So I'm pretty confident they won't do anything as bad as they did with Watch Dogs from this point.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think God of War looked worse. I don't know if it looked any better, but I don't think that had a massive change, and we didn't see that for a couple years.
Those are like light, and since that isn't really like a I won't say it's not an open world game, but it's a lot of that stuff can be controlled as far as camera and lighting and stuff like that. They just made changes to lighting and some textures here and there. It's not like there are some cases where you could tell that both Kratos and the boy were more detailed in one area the year before, and then in the final game there are some areas where they're more detailed in the final game versus previously. So it's kind of vice versa depending on what's going on in the scene. But I didn't really, there was really, you pick your poison to decide which one is better. There's probably an argument for either case to say whether it was downgraded or upgraded for that game in particular. But they typically don't really disappoint either for the most part. Santa Monica doesn't.
Yeah, I mean they were really clever with how they done God of War, because even though it feels like a massive open world game, they were very clever with how they handled loading up the assets and everything for that game.
They funnel you to one area,
one camera shot,
or they'll get you to. So when those moments where Kratos has to squeeze between a gap, and then the boy goes before him and stuff, or he'll lift up a rock, and then the boy will crawl into the rock to get to a certain area. Everything's loading then. More detailed in that new area. A bit like Metro Prime with the doors.
Yeah, Metroid doors. Yeah.
And it makes it feel like it's seamless, doesn't it? And it's a great trick. I love stuff like that. I prefer that. That approach where you're saying, right, this is what it can be done, but we need to have some smoke and mirrors here to make it feel like it's seamless. I prefer that than them to come out and say, right, this is what the game looks like all the time, which is just it's never the case. It's very rare.
Breath of the Wild had to do it for the shrines. Because somebody on the the Wii U was hacked, so they could someone could move a camera anywhere they wanted, and the shrines didn't lead down to anything. It loaded up a totally new area.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be cool though if you could you get in the shrine and you go down. The camera zooms in the Link. You go down the elevator, and it felt a little more seamless. I mean, that could have taken. I mean, that could be the next step for Nintendo and open world games, but. That was kind of a pretty short load time. I went to the actual loading screen, actually. I forgot. Told you little hints and stuff. But anyway, I don't think the whole Spider-Man downgrade is, once the game comes out, no one's gonna care. And people are gonna forget that this happened, and they're gonna fall for it again. Like I said, when Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, whatever, comes out. I think it's going to happen again. One of those two games, I'd be shocked if there wasn't downgrades visually. But when it all boils down to it's just the visual side. As long as they're not like with my theory with Spider-Man was, I kind of felt like some of those epic chase web slinging cinematics. I kind of feel like that was a little script heavy, and we'll have to see. Get some actual gameplay of regular people playing it and see if any of that stuff can be recreated. But so let's get on to the main topic. And it's only 8 o'clock.
Well, that was a big topic.
You forgot to mention Death Stranding, by the way. I really think that's going to be a disappointment, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think they're going to downgrade a lot.
Because we can't trust Kojima. That's why.
When I saw that, I was like, that's going to be a PS5 game. The way the world looked. So that one.
No, just you're ever wrong. You think that's going to be a waste of time? That's what you should have said.
Oh my god!
But the part you got wrong is that it's going to be a game.
You download the game, press execute, and that's it. You just sit back and
get some popcorn. Get ready to be sitting there for 6 hours.
There's going to be at least 15 hours of cinematics in that game. At least.
You're unlocking trophies by 2 hours of viewing this.
Your PS4 controller will shut off during that game.
You got to keep clicking.
So anyway, it's September 3rd today.
Yes.
Nintendo Switch Online comes out in September. It still doesn't have a release date.
That's ridiculous.
Sounds like Nintendo to me.
And their promotion for the online currently, their promotional strategy on Twitter is to highlight the NES games you'll be able to play co-op, Balloon Fight yesterday, today, the original Mario Brothers. You'll be able to play online co-op for the first time, which, taking everything away, that's kind of a cool thing for some, some classic 2D couch co-op type games. Mario Brothers isn't that game for me, but I mean, the idea is cool. But still, nothing about, other than, hey, you're getting cloud saves and you can do voice chat through the app. That's all we know. And for all we know, this could launch tomorrow.
50% of that we already knew.
So is this Nintendo thinking, we'll just drop it? Hey, Nintendo Switch Online's available today. Play these NES games. You think that they think that that's going to get people excited? Because they've done things like announce and release things in directs, whether it's indie games or Fortnite and E3. Hey, coming out later today, and that does add to certain situations. That does add to kind of, hey, that's awesome. I can go download it right now. I'm just wondering if that's their strategy. And
I think outside of any surprises that might come now between now and when this thing launches, I think we have to remember that Nintendo holds a lot of pride and value in their old library. So them getting their NES games as part of the service and putting effort into them to make them online and stuff, I think they see this as a big draw, that will really entice people to think, oh, look at this, you can get these old classic NES games online, as part of the service. They see that as a big thing because they love their IP so much, and for us, we're like, I got no interest. I say no interest. It's virtually hardly any excitement left in playing NES games, even if you add. So I'm gonna tell you
why you're wrong, Cloud. I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, because Nintendo's sitting back there looking, and they see NES Classic and SNES Classic going out the door. So yeah, they do prize it, but that's why they prize it, because they see interest, because they took spare parts and sold it, and people bought it in the millions.
But the big part of the NES and SNES Classic is the hardware.
Yeah,
yeah.
They got that little piece of thing that looks like their old.
That's the retro side of it. That's why we all.
But that also brings up the question: how well the game sold on Virtual Console on the other.
Yeah,
system.
that's true too. And we don't have that info. Yeah.
Didn't they release a Mario Brothers arcade?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's on Switch.
That's Super Mario
Switch,
Brothers.
yeah. And that's another thing. Like you said, we don't know the sales of the Virtual Console, so maybe as much as we all bigged up and say we love the Virtual Console, maybe it really didn't do as well as we might have thought it done, which is why they've dropped it. Maybe it didn't sell that many original Mario Bros games as those individual prices. So now they're like, okay, let's really pull on the nostalgia strings. Let's do the NES Classic Mini. Let's do the SNES Classic Mini. Holy shit, these are selling. Let's get these games now as just part of our online, and you have to pay for them. So if you want to get them, and we need to entice people with extra ways, and maybe this is why they're doing it, because Virtual Console games didn't actually sell as well as we might believe. I don't know. We don't know.
And let me just read the actual description for the online app. And we've done this before, but
you want to do it again? Don't
I mean, it's official, so we gotta.
Some games will get enhanced features with the app, like Splatnet 2, which actually is a really cool thing. If you play Splatoon, Splatnet,
Yeah,
see a bunch of cool stuff that the game should tell you. Your last 50 matches. You can click on it, see your kills, your splats, your deaths.
you can order gear on there.
There's some cool stuff on that, but only some games. It's not going to be required, which is going to be the problem. But Online Lounge, using the app's Online Lounge, you can send online play invitations. Why am I saying that wrong? Invitations to players. I was putting an extra N in there. I don't know why. To players on your Nintendo Switch's system friends list. The app also lets you quickly send invites via social networks and messaging services. What the hell is that? What's a messaging service? Like your email?
I guess that would be text messaging, maybe.
So that's
Or
kind of cool. You'll be able to send
Facebook
invites.
Messenger.
But when you're invited to a game, you'll get notified right away via a push notification on your smartphone. Once players are connected, you can use voice chat openly with friends while in the online lobby and during online play. So you have to be in the lobby and playing, depending on the game. That is the full extent of the Switch Online app details on the website.
Now, what are they talking about when they say online lobby? Are they talking about the online lobby on the smartphone app?
They're talking about the lounges. If you haven't used it in Splatoon 2, you have to boot the game up.
Yep.
Yeah,
You have to click on the online lounge icon.
Connect it to your lobby.
Then you have the app open. They sync up, and then you can like send invites to friends.
Yep.
So they have to have Splatoon 2 on and get into the lounge and then accept, and then you guys can chat. That's how it works.
Shit.
Yeah, we did a game. We did a test game like that before. I think you were in.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't. I mean, it works. It's
once
just
you're in, and then you could leave the game.
God damn.
How long did we let? It was over like 2 minutes, and it was still letting us talk after one of them.
Yeah, there's a lag time now, and and the only update they've done is just now you can put your phone in sleep mode and still talk.
Yeah, they haven't updated the app, so
since then
they specify Splatoon 2 ARMS.
That was a big thing that your phone falling asleep didn't.
It was a dumb thing to release an app.
That's pathetic.
And let's remind people that it's by the time this comes out, it'll be a year and a half after that app came out and was a fucking train wreck. So Splatoon 2 ARMS, Mario Kart 8, Mario Tennis, Sushi Strikers. That's the only games they currently have listed as compatible games.
That's crazy.
That's also weird in its own right.
And Diablo 3 was confirmed to have to use the app for voice chat. This is the info we got.
It's pathetic.
Nothing about messaging friends. Nothing about any additional.
That's coming in a couple of weeks. This is the information we have.
So I real quick. So what I'm worried about is I think that they're not going to give any details, or there's not going to be any major updates because there isn't a game to launch with this. So if they had committed to say December, since Smash is there, then we know there will be a big event and there'll be talk about how it's going to interface with that game. But we don't have that, and there's no September major release that's multiplayer that we know about right now.
No.
There's no Nintendo game coming out in September.
Yeah, so
it's going to be out. So
yeah, that's it's just kind of weird that they chose this time, which is why I thought it was going to be pushed back. Because they, last year would have made sense because it could have been like a little late November launch to support Splatoon or whatever. But they kept it beta for a whole nother year, so it's just the weirdest thing. And you gotta understand there probably is no major reason for them to give you any significant updates or any significant details on how this is going to work if they don't show you how it works in one of the major first party games they have that's going to use it. And unless they plan on making a whole nother direct about Splatoon, I don't know. I don't see them doing it, to be honest with you.
Anybody expecting like an online lounge update for Mario Kart ARMS?
No.
If they do it, I expect the soft launch. I expect it's just going to be there, and then
they won't make a big deal of it. It'll just
or is it just like, hey, you can play ARMS online?
Yep.
And now you have to pay to do it, but we're not gonna put a lounge. You're not gonna be able to voice chat.
Yeah, it's going. I don't expect them to if they're not even thinking about it launching. I doubt that they're going to be smart enough to be retroactively updating games.
Well, I mean, they specifically mentioned only 5 games.
Yeah.
So many.
And the other thing is they had to update this list. They've updated this list because of the games they mentioned. The fact that Sushi Striker and Mario Tennis.
Well, that's said Sushi Strikers for like 6 months now.
So it sounds like you're going to have to pay to play Splatoon 2, but other games like ARMS and whatnot, perhaps you don't have to pay for those if they're not.
No, you do. It says it right on the website.
Just to connect to anything.
Well, the other issue I have is just to get on the app itself. Is that are we still gonna have to do that thing where it's a lounge per game?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, they're gonna put a button. put a button on that whole page. It's just going to add another title to that page.
Yeah,
which is fucking insane to me. Which is insane to me. Because that inherently implies that any online game that's included, eventually you're just gonna have this long list of games you got to scroll through to get to the game that you're trying to get to, and clumsily go through the fucking lounge system. Like that's not even intuitive.
Well, go to the lounge in the game, and then it takes you to it in the app. That's how it works with Splatoon. You go into the game lounge first. But here's the thing.
Wait.
Nintendo doesn't they're not telling us what's going on, but they said, I don't remember when, I think it was Reggie, trust it, it'll be worth the wait. Didn't they say something like that?
They said that in a meeting.
He said that in a meeting.
Yeah, it was never like directly to the consumer. They were just talking.
But he said it though. So
no, they did say they did say it, but it was like an interview. Like it wasn't anything directly to the consumer.
That's because of the NES games. Play NES games online.
My other issue is they have that little section that says special offers, but we have no idea what the hell that is.
No
idea. To get into that balloon fight, y'all with me?
Like I wouldn't mind. Like if somehow, some way, they could get Contra, the original Contra, and as a bonus with your online, hey, you and T can play Contra.
Sold
together.
Sold.
That's a nice little bonus if everything else is in line. If the app was like put Discord to shame, like, oh, this is easier than Discord. You just pick your friends, start a conversation, you guys are chatting.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
If that worked, we're gonna add, you can message your friends now. You can do this, you can do that. If that was there, and I could play these awesome NES games online co-op, that would be an awesome package overall.
I do think it could happen over time. My only issue is that they're not going to do it unless there's a way for them to roll it in to what the customer immediately sees. So there's no point in them saying, hey, we have this brand new voice chat lobby and we don't have anything for you to use it with yet. So they have to pimp some type of major title for them to be able to go along with this announcement if they're going to make one.
Sounds logical. I don't see logic.
Side note, real quick, I'm submitting this because I went on to the Nintendo news site just to see any updates. Because usually around this time on Mondays, you get system updates. Well, there's a system update, but it's for the Wii U. And I had to stop for a second and be like, what?
Wait, didn't the Switch 6.0 firmware get leaked or
it got data mined?
Somebody dumped it?
That's the reason why I was surprised. I'm like, oh, new update, and I see Wii U, and I'm like, what? Why? All right. Sorry, I'm sorry to do that.
That console we want you to forget about?
It just threw me the fuck off. Like, what are you doing?
Let's talk about that data mined update. What was it? A slogan. There was a slogan that was the only thing of significance, was like more fun, more features, more something.
It was.
That's everything else. There was no other information about the update. It was data mined. There was nothing to it.
I wonder how you're going to get those new controllers to connect to the Switch.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing, yeah.
It's probably a little adapter so you can plug in the NES and Super NES Classic.
That just means there's another thing they're going to sell you, though, right?
Another adapter.
Probably plugs in USB, and then you can plug those 4-foot, 3-foot cables.
And let's not forget that the Switch is going to be calling home at less than 50 megabits per second every single time you try to put an exploit on it. So there's
here was
blazing speed.
From what I saw, so I'm on the data mine thing. It was the icons, new Captain Toad images, icons, save data backup option will be in the game menu. And then the slogan was more games, more features, more fun
for Nintendo Switch
and
Online.
then apparently some anti-piracy updates.
Yeah,
that's not a major update to launch your online service.
So stability increases, everybody. Hashtag stability.
No, we're cheating at Splatoon 2.
And like I joked, more features, more than you currently have, which is 0. So you can say more.
Savagery.
Yeah, but like, how many more features is that? That's like what, 2 things maybe?
I don't need like Twitch.
Literally, people are gonna buy this only out of necessity.
Can we have this round robin? Can we have this round table conversation? What do you want out of Nintendo Switch Online? If you're able to make it the way that you want it right now, how would you have it? We can do a round robin.
Number one, native voice chat, because fucking Fortnite does it on a free-to-play goddamn game.
Yes.
I want to just push notifications, kind of like what Facebook does, where I can just message people on the system.
I want to be able to just click on clocked its name, send them a message, send them a screenshot or something, just something simple like that, and the app worked like Discord.
He wants more options to talk his friends more than
literally my bottom line. Anything like to that's not asking for much. That's all I need for $20 a year.
Literally, your friends list is literally just that. It's just to show who's online, and
it's so stupid.
There's literally nothing else you can do.
It's so disconnected from your friends list.
But also just tripped me out because how you have this like cool feature where I can add my friends from my Twitter, my 3DS, and my Wii U and Facebook. But once I add them,
nothing you can do except.
Wait! You can make him your best friend.
Yeah, what does that mean?
On there.
Hold on. You can check those receipts, though. You can do that.
We'll be playing. We're gonna be doing a game next week revolving around playtimes. So.
You always gotta call somebody out, right? You always gotta put somebody on the blast.
Better start putting them games and start playing, bitch. We're coming for you.
Play your games, fools.
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I got 5 kids of feet, man. My hours are all right.
Anybody else got anything?
So I'm gonna be the maverick of the group. Me personally, it kind of works the way I want it to now. I'm gonna have my phone sit next to me anyway. I don't want any cables between me and my console. I don't want to have a dongle going from my controller or my console to go to my damn ear. I can use a Bluetooth headphone. I can put my phone on fucking speakerphone to hear who's talking. I got speakers on my damn TV and I can hear what I need to hear. So technically, if the app worked for every game I wanted to play online, that would be fine. But there's more than just Splatoon 2 right now. So I kind of need more than that.
Yeah, I guess that'd be the other thing. Make the app a general lounge for gaming in general. If you're because here's people need to understand the app existing isn't the problem. The problem is that it's the only way to do this shit as of right now, and that's the problem.
Except for Fortnite.
Except for Fortnite. If I want, I should have the ability to choose whether I want to use the phone or not. I think it's cool that the phone allows me to do voice chat through it in case I don't want to do it through the game. But I should have the option to choose which way I want to do it. And the other thing I'll mention real quick, because I remember back when this thing was first announced, I went and like compared it to like PSN and Xbox Live just to see what the difference was.
Yeah, they didn't have all that at the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. And from what I remember, it wasn't even that much of a difference back then. Like I didn't realize that cloud saving for PSN only works if you're a subscriber to their PSN Plus service. Yep. Xbox, you can do it whatever. You don't need the service to do it. So Xbox already had something over it. But the one thing, and I think the fact that the NES games have online play is cool as fuck too. The only other thing I would probably add is do other fucking game systems besides the NES, at least up until the N64 at the very least. And obviously everyone's going to scream GameCube, but you know.
Yeah, I mean,
we're trying to we're just making baby steps.
Listen. If there was N64 games on there with online,
it's crazy baby steps.
if there was N64 games on there with this service, right, online, then I wouldn't be listening to anything you were saying. I'd be like, yo, I love the app, man. I love the app. The app is the best thing in the world. I'd be playing Wave Race and F-Zero and Lilac Wars 4-player online. I'd be in Nintendo fucking heaven.
Give me fucking Satellaview Zelda, and I'm good. The new dungeons.
And it trips me out because when you think about it realistically, they're not far away from what people would be perfectly cool spending $20 a year for. But the way that they're still behind is so insane. It's like, oh, you got around the fucking mountain, but you can't open the gate. Like it drives me nuts. It's like, how are you this close? So open the fucking door, but that's all.
So technically speaking, like one of the resident trolls asked this in the chat. We know why there isn't native voice chat on this platform, right? There's CPU overhead and the OS was supposed to be streamlined to begin with. It was supposed to be paper thin, so you can focus on, I don't know, running the fucking games.
Yeah, what does it use? Like a couple hundred kilobytes or something?
Yeah, it's
no, I mean the CPU thread that you need to run. Oh. Yeah, because you need to dedicate it. You got to run that executable. So it's not necessarily the bandwidth or the RAM. It's just having that extra process running, in addition to running the game. So it's, some people can build it into their games, i.e. Fortnite. But I guess Nintendo is the type of person where they don't want to. They're the type of company that never wanted to do that. They didn't.
Nintendo DS has native voice chat. DS,
but they didn't put it. They didn't put it over the OS though.
No, it was game specific.
It was game specific because they were, that was the whole reason they were even discussing having the platform be done with EA for the
right.
For the Wii
but
U.
My point is that was Nintendo in 2005.
Yeah,
2018. They couldn't have thought that this is something that they needed to put in their home console at this point.
They didn't do it in 2011. I mean 2012.
Obviously,
I guess they're hands off again. So
and we spent a lot of that. All of us, we spent a lot of that generation begging for this same
well,
thing.
The Wii U had the upper hand though. It had the headset jack and the controller. As soon as the Switch was the Pro controller and the Joy-Con grip was shown without a headset jack, there's no way those were ever in-game or system built-in voice chat was ever going to be a thing, because I'm not going to have no wired headset, 12 foot across my living room, plugged in the top thing. And even if they do the USB, then I got, if I had a wireless USB headset, that would be fine. But it's just the foundation wasn't there, so I don't think that was ever gonna happen. I mean, yeah, with Fortnite it works, but for me it's so impractical. I had to stand 3 feet from my TV.
You guys see my setup. I'm right there, so
but,
it doesn't bother me as much. But
so I mean, the writing was on the wall with that, I think. And yeah, you could do Bluetooth, but with all the controllers,
not on Switch.
Switch
Bluetooth is only for controllers.
Which is
fucking
dumb.
The controllers, the hardware was not designed for native voice chat, so the app was the thing they were going to do. And the problem I have is, if that's the thing you're going to do, then why isn't it the fucking industry standard for an online app that for voice chat and messaging your friends and stuff like that? Unless some miracle they just been hiding this awesome idea and didn't want anybody to steal it. And when we see it, it's like, holy shit, like this puts Discord to shame. That's the only scenario where I'm like, all right, Nintendo, you did it, you succeeded. But the fact that they know that's their option, if they don't put everything into it and make it amazing, then, which I don't think they are, because they're pushing these NES games, is like, that's like the meat of the online service. That's the meat of your $20. To me, that's like eating.
Well,
so they take away the virtual console and they make it an incentive for the online.
Yeah, it's like eating cotton candy for dinner. If the NES games are the main meat of your online service, that's some hollow, empty calories right there. That's just sad. The app needs to be
from a company that in 1998 gave you the ability on the 64 DD, obviously, think about the West. You can create your own tracks in F-Zero X and upload them for your friends to play. This is 1998.
Yep.
And this is where we are in 2018 on Nintendo. Like,
where the hell's Furukawa, the new president? Where the hell is his? He's took over in what, June? We've heard nothing from him. And he's supposed to be the young.
This is what I don't understand, because they went. I say they went full steam ahead, but their vision for their online was to connect their players. So when we had they started off with the DS and the Wii, all the channels that you had on there, all the ways that you could, all the voting channels and all this stuff, just to try and create these communities. And you jump onto the Wii U, and then there's still issues, but it evolves a bit more with Miiverse. They get you connected into their own social network, and it's freaking beautiful. I loved it so much. They had started experimenting with the Wii U video chat on there and all this stuff. All these experiments that that eventually that faded away. But you could see them trying to create this sort of Nintendo community network, and then we get to now, and it's not completely abandoned. It's like it's forgotten. It's completely forgotten, and you're just like, what happened?
And let's not forget they wrote it twice, because they did Miiverse, and then they had to create something that interface with Miiverse all over again in the mobile games that they ended up launching on iOS and Android. So it's not like they aren't doing work and they don't understand what network infrastructure looks like, and they don't understand how.
Well, we know they do.
Yeah, they obviously have a team dedicated to it.
That's what's so frustrating. We know they know this stuff.
Like, they're watching packets just like I do when I play my games. I'm sitting there and I got Wireshark open, like looking like, okay, let me see some weird shit and see if somebody's trying to hack this game. And they're doing the same thing every day, so they know how to make it happen. So it's just there must be something that they're looking for, and I don't know exactly what and how they plan on doing it. But
and how many people are using the Splatoon 2, the app, for voice chat? You think of the players?
Nobody now, probably.
I
used it a couple of times after we recorded it that time, but then I stopped playing Splatoon 2. So
I got the Splatoon 2 headset, and I ain't using it for that shit. I still haven't used it.
I like going to flatten that thing when I was playing.
The headset that was designed for that, I don't use. I still haven't.
Well, part of that is just because people aren't playing. I think our group isn't playing Splatoon 2 as much. That's
because you can only invite friends, right? It couldn't just be anybody that was randomly in the lobby. I think you had to create a group and then do.
Yeah, it had to be people on your friends list.
Yeah.
I mean, someone who's it, Jazzy Jefferson in the chat. You know, just to remind us once again, this was delayed. What was it?
This was delayed. What was it delayed for?
It was supposed to come out with Splatoon 2, but it was delayed to fall, so it's been delayed over probably about 14, 15 months.
And it's been in beta for 14 months.
They were making online capabilities on the NES game.
Well, they mentioned the NES games like even back a year ago. Like that was.
The only thing that's changed about that is now it's a library instead of what it was originally.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like two.
Originally, it was like, oh, we rotate games in and out and shit. And we were like,
they didn't even know what the hell they were doing. You could tell they didn't even know how to. They didn't have a solid plan. When they start, you can't start putting information out there, and you don't have a solid plan for what you're going to do. And that's what they were doing.
The backlash from the app, from Reggie having to answer questions, from no one using the Splatoon 2 app for voice chat. How have they not figured out that this isn't what people wanted?
Because Nintendo's stubborn, and they don't. I mean, that's realistic.
That in Nintendo Japan rules all. So
yeah, that's the other
thing Reggie could do. All he can do is just say, "I puppet for Japan."
I don't blame Reggie for it. It's not.
Yeah, but Reggie's just a glorified
PR
manager.
I almost hope it is. I hope it's a failure, and they just gotta say, you know what?
It's probably going to be a failure on some.
It'll be free, y'all. Everything's free.
I just don't understand. They almost bought DNA. Like, how do you not?
Yeah, the DNA almost DNA acquisition.
They did nothing with that.
What came out of that?
I guess them being able to know how iOS works. I
guess that's all that came out of that. It made some more money on iOS.
I mean, do we really want it to fail? What happens if it does fail? What happens today?
If it does fail, every third party will roll their own VoIP in games. I mean,
the fact that Fortnite has free voice chat just kind of undermines the whole system.
I mean, and they're already doing it on PC anyway, so I don't.
It's only a failure if people just don't pay for it.
Yeah, but people are going to pay for it purely for the save.
I don't want to lose my
cloud saves and
my cloud.
The problem is the Nintendo. It'll be a failure because really what's going to happen is people will pay for the cloud saves, and their stats on the Nintendo Online app will still be low as shit.
It won't fail because of Nintendo games. I mean,
you got 20 million people who are playing for free right now, and they don't want to lose their online, gaming.
Yeah, it's not even that. Once the games start rolling in.
Well, the problem is we still don't even know to the extent which games are included.
And that's fucking pathetic too.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. If let's say they stealth launch it Wednesday, and it's like, oh, I go play Rocket League with Lil Cray on Switch, and it's like, oh, you need to have the online service. I'm like, all right, nice playing with you, Cray. I'll play with you again once.
To be fair, just no one was surprised by that statement. You were already talking about how you were playing.
Don't act like you're doing something.
Yeah, you were playing.
I wasn't saying this. Something different. I'm just pointing out
you got
that
200 hours on PC already.
It's like, yeah, we're just like, okay, Juice, we get you. Yeah.
That's like never being. That's like not being on the internet for like 9 weeks and then firing up Miiverse for the first time in a year, and then you're like, it's gone.
It'd be like
error code 103. What the fuck is that?
That's an abomination.
I was making a point about like Nintendo games aren't enough. Like Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe aren't enough to get me to get it.
No,
in September.
The only game as of right now that would make people get it is Smash Brothers. That's it. That is
that's what I'm thinking. No one's going to buy Smash.
They need to push it to December.
And not play it online. No one's going to do that.
Smash Bros is the only game, and to be fair, because there are other games that still. I think Splatoon, people will get it for Splatoon. I think people will have to get it for Splatoon.
We all assumed that Smash was going to be the game that they rolled it out with, because that just made the most sense. But that makes too much sense for Nintendo. It was like, oh, Smash is coming in December, folks. Peace on that.
I love how Ruby in the chat say it's not going to be a stealth launch. Even if they announce it, hey, this is launching on September 14th. Like,
yeah,
that's borderline
nice.
A stealth launch.
There's no.
You can't tell us what day it's coming out on. That's
stealth launch. That's just going to be.
It's already a stealth launch.
Update the fucking app, push it out there. Let's go. It's going to be one of those like 3 o'clock in the morning type deals, and they're just like, I'm just fucking.
Yeah, we're gonna wake up and then all of a sudden I'm gonna get certain games.
A lot of assumptions too. Rocket League won't need the service. How do you know? No one's told us.
Yeah.
I see people saying free to play
games.
It's a lot of guesswork. I don't see. I didn't see that in Nintendo's information.
Well, that's really what's gonna make it work. If it's only Nintendo first party games, because we don't know right now, then literally. It's even lost even less. It's even more worthless than it was before.
I think it needs to be any game on the Switch that's online has to use this service. To me, that makes it more necessary. If you let a bunch of third-party games not need the service, then it's just like, Nintendo, why do I have to pay to play your games online?
And on top of everything else, the question is like, is they going to use dedicated servers? Probably not. So I'm paying you for the same. Going to change
from the server standpoint.
Well, that's what makes it worse.
You're asking for trouble.
If you're going to ask me for the money, at least make the experience better.
So it doesn't make it better that they go back and forth on this too, because somebody directly like questioned Reggie on whether or not free to play games would be on there, and he wouldn't directly answer the question. He was just like,
Reggie doesn't know
because he doesn't know.
Nintendo Japan's gonna make that decision randomly in the middle of the week, and then he's gonna have to be like, "Yeah, this is a great feature," even though he just found out that morning.
He's gonna come out there with what is it, the Pizza Hut lines that he came to Nintendo with?
I mean,
where's he from? Domino's or Pizza Hut? Which one of them?
He was. I think it was it Domino's or was it Pizza Hut? I don't remember.
It was a Pizza Hut.
Talking about?
I think it was Pizza Hut. That's where Reggie came.
It does not matter.
And it was Nike before that, right? Or was that Cammy? Cammy was at Nike, right?
Cammy,
yeah.
Cammy was at Nike.
At this point, no, it's not worth it.
He's gonna come in smiling from ear to ear with that bullshit lines.
Oh my god, he's killing me, man.
It's already bad enough, like you're saying about, why do I have to pay for your game online?
Yeah, exactly.
Online are free. We're already doing that with the voice chat. Why do I have to use this stupid app for voice chat when we already have a game that doesn't use that app? Like, I
mean, it could be like Microsoft, and they're like, you will pay for Xbox Live or else. But I need to play a free to play game. I'm sorry.
That's what they should do. That's what they're not saying that. That's what it should be.
It needs to be a standard so that it's used by everybody.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it ain't worth
the time. It ain't worth
the money.
It's
off and on PlayStation, though. Like, PlayStation isn't all the way through that way either. So
yeah, but I think it's most games on PlayStation.
You get some random games here and there that don't use it.
Yeah, like, put this way, it should at least be 80 to 90%.
Yes. Everything about it feels like, we're just dipping our toe in. We're not fully committed. The fact that I could change my name. So, like, every day I could just change my name, my Switch's nickname. Every day I can just change it. And then when I go on and play online games, they're like,
Parzival, you can beat the shit out of me.
This invite from Johnny 5. Like, I can make it whatever I want. And that right there tells me how uncommitted they are to your online personas that become so part of people's lives that, like, they use that online persona for everything, whether it's their Twitter. I know some people don't, but Clocked It, that's his YouTube name. That's his
Sony's so committed
Twitter
to
name.
It's my Twitter. It's my Instagram.
But when you go to play with the online, you don't even have enough characters, I don't think, to type clocked it on the Switch.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too. You can't even search for another user by their Nintendo ID. You can only do it if you have the
there is no
friend
Nintendo
code.
ID. It doesn't exist on the Switch.
Yeah, that's weird. Like your Nintendo account ID, I mean, because that still exists. That's still a string that you use. But
what the fuck is that for, by the way? Because literally
they don't know.
It just points to your friend code ID, like which is just a hash to say you are this person on this system online. That's all it is, but it all exists in a database somewhere. But all they have to do is make it to where you're able to look at that ID, and that ID points to whatever your string is.
Only thing they lock in with that ID is the games you bought for your
and
your console name.
And that could just be tied to your email address. They don't even need that.
But they won't do that because they want you. They want
you to have that account.
How stupid is it that you're playing as Dad still, like that was the Wii. That was me.
Yeah.
I seen a person call.
Yeah,
I played with a guy, and it might have been. It could have been an Xbox, but it was either Steam. Pretty sure it was a Steam account where it just said Dad. So I mean, that was probably just a guy trying to be funny, but. You just tell like
playing Home Dad and Rocket League.
Yeah, they just not committed to the online personas. Like there's people that have had their Xbox name since
2002.
Since 2002, bro.
I mean, I had to pay to change mine. I paid the $10, which was that's a little extreme, but also it just tells you that hey, you're committed to this name.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They charge you to change that shit because they don't want you playing around.
Yeah, so it's I don't know, man. This the whole thing. Just we've known it for a while. When they delayed it, I was kind of hopeful. Hey, I thought maybe they just went back to the drawing board and they're going to start over with a completely new idea. And then they come out, update that website a few months ago or whatever, and it's just the exact same shit.
You just wanted to cry.
They gotta have something. This is the same company that gave us Miiverse, man. I don't. It's just really weird to think that it would just be so
Nintendo magic,
It's so segmented as a company. It's like
they're so good,
brilliant shit. It's
just
like it doesn't translate to other things.
And they're all in one building now, so there's no excuses. They're all in one fucking area now, so it's not.
Get the dude that created ARMS with whoever came up with that online lobby system.
He's a genius.
You mean Yabuki?
Yeah, I like that lobby system.
Which one did the actual lobby system? Though it might have been him, might have been somebody on his team.
That's an awesome lobby system.
I mean, it's the Mario Kart 8 team. So
that should be the OS level.
Yep.
Lobby system for every online game on the Switch. It's genius, but it isn't. So anyway, I think we've gone on long enough about that, and it just sucks because they have so much creativity and they come up with great ideas like the Miiverse and the Wii had the first burial indie shop like online shop for indies and had all these cool little channels and stuff. They had a lot of cool ideas, and it's just like, where did that stuff go?
They are the definition. They have the worst aspects of any artist. They can create beautiful shit, but they're also very inconsistent. And
they just throw their last shit away and start all over again.
Yeah,
they throw their old canvases away and restart every goddamn generation.
Yeah, they're just random as hell about it. And sometimes it's just like, dude, please. Just draw a fucking background. That's all I want you to do.
This is the same company that
just draw some fucking grass. That's all I want.
This is the same company in certain games. The weather would change based on the fucking weather channel on the Wii.
I mean,
like, I don't. How did?
Unbelievable.
It's random. It's like they're looking for magic. And I'm like, guys, I get it.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have to get this record.
We got plenty of time before December 7th. But if you look at Mario Kart Wii to Mario Kart 8, it used almost identical online system. And I think the only thing it added, showed your friends and you could join them. I don't think the Wii had that.
Did the Wii have lobby chat? If you had Wii Speak?
I don't think it did.
I don't think that did. But
so they added that in 8, I guess.
Which that was worthless. Is only in the private matches. So
yeah,
kind of like what Smash Brothers did.
But Smash Brothers, you can go to the online lobby, Smash 4 on the Wii U unless something changed something today. And if your friends are playing Smash, you can see they're online or they're offline. They're playing Smash. If they have an online lobby and there's no room, it says 4 out of 4 or whatever. If there is room, you click on it. It gives them the option to let you join or not, which I thought that was a cool idea. But there's definitely room for improvement there. There's no way to I can't say, hey, Meza T, get an invite from Terminator Juice, which I think the app's going to do, whether it's implemented well or not. But I don't feel like Smash Ultimate's going to be much different than Smash Brothers for Wii U as far as the online, other than the app will add the invite option.
Well, hey, that's if it's included on the app. We don't know.
Oh, it will be.
I mean, it is on Splatoon too. So,
hey, look, you don't know.
You're only saying that because you're excited for Smash.
Yeah, based on the zero information.
Well, the app.
Hold on. We're all running off assumptions here, people. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That would have me dying if it wasn't on the app. I'd just be like, well, fuck it.
Well, the app specifically, that the few things it does say is that you'll be able to send game invites. It doesn't say specific games. You'll be able to send game invites to your friends.
I feel like Michael Jackson when he's in Earth Song and he's like, ha, ha,
well, to be fair, I'm trying to think because the middle, they said the latter half of September, correct?
So, it just said September, by the end of September. That's all it said.
Well, I mean, I'm saying no, because they posted a tweet a while ago talking about it's going to be the latter half of September. It's not going to be in the first half. So that means sometime at the beginning of the end of next week, from that point to the end of September, something's got to happen, and we'll just.
It's crazy that we don't even have a date. It'd be like if there was like a stealth movie launch, all of a sudden the next Star Wars film. Guys, Star Wars film. It might come out in September, and then September comes along. We're all waiting, and then suddenly, Star Wars is out tomorrow. It's like what? Why? It's just the date. Why do we know the date? When is September now?
Is a Switch portable?
What?
Switch portable?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where is this going?
I know. Where's it going?
It's a simple question.
Yeah, I don't trust you, T. That's why.
Wow, that sounds dangerously rhetorical.
Why the shit can it do what a portable handheld system we got in 2011 can do?
Are you talking about?
Can it
the Vita? Or are you talking about the 3DS?
I'm talking about 3DS. I'm talking about Nintendo. I judge Nintendo to their own standards. I should be able to judge them to the industry standards. Well, I'm going to go lowest common denominator and judge them to their own standards. Why doesn't the Switch have download play?
Oh, that was badass.
All right,
speaking of that, I'll be curious to hear if Mario Party on Switch actually offers that feature.
What was the other thing where you could put your 3DS to sleep and
Street Pass?
Street Pass. Why doesn't the Switch have Street Pass?
Because people complain about apparently Street Pass being a worthless feature.
No, it wasn't. Hell.
People
I'm not saying it was.
People was addicted to that shit.
I love Street Pass.
Street Pass was fucking genius. Absolute genius.
It's great.
So can I ask what if? What if like just randomly out of nowhere Nintendo brought Miiverse back?
Randomly.
Well,
I mean, it's going to be random because that's Nintendo.
Yeah,
what if?
I mean, I'd be excited, but
I'd be very confused.
I'd be excited. I'd still be annoyed as hell, but I'd be excited.
Hashtag you can never please T.
I mean, what if that was?
Well, I would be pleased. I'd just be annoyed. Like, why does this have to be random? Why would we...
Yeah,
because I can't tell you anything nice.
Let me tell you a problem that
besides the other ones,
people with our mindset are going to have. I'm going to read a Twitter little back and forth after Nintendo posted about you and a friend will be able to play online co-op as Mario and Luigi in the original Mario Brothers.
I know where this is going.
First time when Nintendo Switch Online launches this month! Exclamation point.
Oh no!
I said, how about you tell us about the modern online features instead of promoting 30-year-old games? And
savagery.
Justin Miller replied, you could always choose a different gaming platform.
Damn.
And I said, what does that have to do with Nintendo focusing on promoting NES games instead of telling us about the online features we'll be paying for?
I'll choose the Nokia N-Gage. It has better features.
Sound like was it Dom Matric? Was it?
This is the type of mentality you deal with.
This gets better.
Go ahead, finish it. Go ahead.
A smart person said, I know, right? Let's just blindly say okay to a shit service and stay silent for the fact that the Switch doesn't have basic fucking features like an integrated chat, party, or a messaging system. Good idea. Then he came back, the same Justin dude. If you came to a Nintendo console expecting them to follow everyone else, you've got the wrong gaming company.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm expecting basic features on the console. Am I asking for too much? By the way, the Wii U had a messaging system and chat system. And the dude said, the online, you moron. That was his reply.
Wow. Oh, so that's why I wouldn't even touch what the other guys were doing, because I know that's the kind of response you'll get. So I was just sticking to what Nintendo has done themselves.
I saw your reply to you talking about, I had this game for 20 years. What else you got?
What else you got, bro?
The dude spelled massage or massage.
You haven't been playing them online for 20 years. Oh, okay. Goddamn, you got me.
I just wish the guy didn't misspell messaging. He put massaging.
Oh god.
So the only reply the guy had was, I don't remember the Wii U being massaging me or whatever.
Yeah. That was his out.
Yeah.
The misspell.
Well, because technically it was fucking Miiverse more than it was the Wii U.
That's what you have to deal with when you bring this stuff up. People get rabid. You know,
the majority of Twitter isn't helping though. Like they're talking about Super Mario World and fucking soccer and like they're really talking about the old games.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, because that is the conversation they want to have.
Oh my god,
it shouldn't be the conversation.
Yeah, if we're the vocal minority, then I went blah 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 blah, and Shokyo made a video, so therefore I'm gonna say what he said. So therefore, like if we're the vocal minority, I mean, you know. You figured that would be the gist of the conversation here, but people are like, nah, how about 10-yard fight? Like, what the
like, how out of touch do you have to be to not realize that those aren't going to be overly exciting for people at this point?
I'd be curious
when you have a console and the GameCube that sorely needed online multiplayer, sorely needed it, would have been a big part of it selling a lot better. You wouldn't think that a Melee Online or a Mario Kart Double Dash, which is everybody's favorite Mario Kart, by the way, apparently, online, you wouldn't think that would be way more enticing and way more.
And you guys are retro, like T and Clock.
Yeah,
big
retro. That's it. We're both super retro gamers.
I have the gray zapper. Okay, I got the gray zapper and the power pad.
We're all like retro gamers. This doesn't even speak to us. So what does that tell you?
I was mad about the Game Boy Advance. Because all it got was a bunch of NES and Super NES Mario games, never got its own game. Like
never got it.
I think I'm more baffled that you played the Game Boy Advance than anything else.
Oh, and it called the Advance, and it still didn't have a backlight.
Yeah.
Hey man, that came with SP. Fuck
yeah,
man.
You had to wait like 6 years for that shit.
So we're gonna end this I'm gonna read the details of the Switch firmware update, and then we're gonna get final thoughts. So
wait, the Switch firmware update.
Or the Wii U? I said Wii U, didn't I?
No, you said Switch.
Wii U firmware update.
Stability update.
You're a Nintendo fan. It's okay to be confused.
Improvements. Here's what the Wii U update brought.
Oh shit!
Improvements to system stability and usability. Further improvements to overall system stability and other minor adjustments have been made to enhance the user experience. End story. That's the update.
Oh. Yeah, sounds like they broke all the fucking hacks for
Yeah, that's why what they did. Stability increases, y'all. You don't realize that became a meme on the Wii U. People every time update came up, it was like stability increases.
So does that mean that Xenoblade Chronicles X runs in 1080p now?
Oh shit!
It probably does not.
Oh shit! I gotta stop.
All right, so let's do final thoughts. Get the hell out of here, and we can always go back. We can always direct people to this podcast if they say we're just Nintendo fanboys living in a bubble. We never.
Nah, this shit is bad. They got to talk about it. This is bad. This is very bad.
It's pathetic, and I know.
To be fair, Juice, I think you get that big criticism the most.
Yeah.
Why is that, Juice?
Being a fanboy?
I don't know. I guess
a blind fanboy. I don't know why.
Oh.
I guess all the videos I made this year about the Switch's library and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a Japanese tweet, and it's saying
what?
A translated tweet has. What is the date? I don't see the translation.
Yeah, you see it on Twitter?
Usually that's where you find 2
It doesn't say shit, dude. It says September 2018.
Wait,
That's
what?
all it says.
I'm confused.
Look, he sent it to me like, oh, this is the closest thing we got to a date. Yeah, September 2018.
Jazzy Jefferson?
Yeah. Doesn't say shit. Second half, I guess it's. And you guys already said that. It says second half.
Yeah, that's literally all I had heard was the
second half of the month we're in. You can't even get a
exactly.
solid date.
To be fair, we were told that before it was September, but that's besides the point.
Yeah. But it's September. We should have a date September 1st.
We shouldn't have. It shouldn't have been delayed.
So at the very, it could be 12 days away, like less than 2 weeks, or it could be.
Yeah, that's why I said the end of
September 29th.
The end of next week is the 14th.
And we still know next to nothing. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, what else? There's no defense for that. There's none. There's nothing you can say. I don't care that it's $20 a year. There's no defense for how it's been handled, how the information or lack thereof come out. It's a joke, and you can tell they don't care. They're not all in. They're just dipping a toe. Here you go. You can have voice chat, guys. Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can take turns playing Super Mario Brothers 3. You can watch T play till he dies, and then you can play.
Oh my god.
Yeah, good luck with that, because I can.
Credits.
I can go a long time.
Just like it was.
Look, no wart whistles. You're gonna go through each level 1, 2. You all the way
to.
I guess that's even the worst part. We don't even know what the interface or what it's gonna look like.
I can go to at least
playing these
arcade
games online.
Yeah, and are they gonna like?
You can be waiting a minute, son.
How are they gonna look? Like, is it? There gonna be options for playing those games? Like is it gonna look as good as the emulators on the NES Classic Super?
Will we have different settings? Do we get a CRT mode? Do we get a 16:9 mode?
I hate playing 2 players with somebody sitting right next to me. You want me to do that shit online?
Yes.
I know. I hated that back.
You got something against input lag? Fuck you, man.
You jump in the air, somebody pause the game.
You know what the worst part was? When you go like 2 different, like 3, 4, 5 levels before you die.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
And your sister, your sibling or friend would die in the first Goomba.
and they're sitting there for 20 minutes waiting on you.
And then listen, I'm just waiting for why doesn't Metroid Crawl Switch Edition? That's all I'm waiting for.
Oh my god.
Terrell don't know anything about waiting for someone to play.
Waiting for what?
When you had to take turns playing Super Mario Brothers.
I have a younger sister. You kidding me?
You played games where you had to wait for somebody to die before you could play?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had friends. The fuck?
What? Those games weren't... You were...
27.
Like they
27, 28?
We just did that. We just did that when... I'm 27.
He old enough.
Yeah, we just did that on... I think Super Mario World, we did that. Although we didn't need to be fair.
Yeah,
we were young.
That was one of the last games that had that from.
I think you switch out in Super Mario World. It's not as cruel as
Super Mario World. You beat a level and you switch, I think.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers, until you die.
And I'm thinking, I don't remember
Sonic because we're fucking. Sonic was that was the main game I remember doing a lot.
You get to be Tails.
Do nothing.
I just want to give the Head in the Sand award.
Sidekick ever.
I gotta give an award. I'm calling it the Head in the Sand award to Ruby Sakurai for.
Come on, man!
It's only September 3rd. They could still tell us the date.
Jesus,
I gotta give her credit for being an optimist.
Oh, is that what you're doing? Because that's the way that award it sounded like.
That's just the name of the award. So she wins this week.
I've
had the reputation of being the extreme optimist of defending. Like,
I would.
It's way too close. It's way too close.
The thing is, if you know me, I'm a super optimist, and for me to be beat down to where I am right now, it's not a testament to me. It's a testament to Nintendo, man.
No, all the haters are right at this point, pretty much, because it's not happening. It's just not happening, and there's not enough time for them to turn around anything. And even if they did, it's not in their best interest to. There's not a game tied to it.
Yeah, shit's just gonna hit the fan. That's literally all it is. Yeah. We're just counting down the moments until the shit hits the fan.
Hope they set at 20 million.
Titties on their
Hello. How much beer are we gambling on that one for this
man. If shit hits the fan, I think that might affect some sales.
You gonna meet BG in the street? That's what.
I'm gonna throw my Switch out the window.
Wow.
Put your Xbox One in the trash.
Oh man.
The sad thing is the blueprints out there for what they should have done.
It's been out there a long time.
Yeah, at this point, it's not. To me, I'm not. It's
blueprints out there, and it's like the office right down from there is
man.
3S, where the 3S resides.
If you just give me Discord and connect it to Miiverse,
dude,
I'm done. I'm good.
Please, that's all we need.
Anyway, we're done. I gotta take that back because
we're just all beat down, aren't we? Have to use it.
Well, I mean, I'm not really.
I should read
surprising. I'm just not angry about it.
I should read Clocked's tweet when I said.
Well, I mean, my optimism's beat down. Like that's about it. Man.
So for the screenshot for this podcast, just put a dead horse on it and us standing over it with.
Yeah, I've tried to lasso you guys to end this podcast for like the last 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, it's not a big deal, Juice. It's a Monday, and most of us were probably off.
I'd rather be playing Rocket League Online for.
You'd rather be playing Rocket League 9.
Our original. He wants to play Rocket League.
Again, talking about beating the dead horse.
It's like, now that's the dead horse we need to
shout out to Mezza and Lil Cray for that epic game night on Friday. That was
fun.
Good time. Good times.
Jesus.
We played about 4 hours.
I like to play some of the other online games, you know, just once in a while. Yeah. Put back on Doom or Splatoon or Mario Kart even.
Yeah, I think the closest I got to doing
that. Still do it while it's still free.
We played ARMS and no one
played ARMS like a few weeks ago. That was
played ARMS and no one.
I missed it.
We played ARMS and Doom then.
I think that was
Doom's
the last
online's
game
dead. Someone said that there's not even enough players to find a lobby.
Really, I was on there not too long ago.
That quick?
Wait, on what?
That quick?
On Doom?
A year.
It's been a year. I don't believe it though. I was on there not too long ago, maybe a week ago.
Because it doesn't have cross-platform. It's just Switch players. So.
Because life is hard. That's what that is.
That's that motion control.
You don't want to play that cross-platform anyway. They got too much advantages over
mouse,
there.
Yeah, about to say we're out here taking L's like a point.
You don't want that cross-platform, son.
Man, fuck that shit.
The minute you spawn, you did.
Keyboard mouse over here, son. Keyboard.
I'm lagging over here, y'all. My controller ain't responding.
Oh man, I quit.
Fucking rage quitting and shit.
That's gonna do it. I don't think we need final thoughts, do we? Everyone's
GG
had a lot to say.
Yeah.
He just wants to go play with some.
My final thought is the world ends with you. Forces you to use your Joy-Con.
Hey, listen, don't bring that up. That's a whole thing. All right.
What do you have to do?
It forces you to use your Joy-Con.
You can't use your Pro Controller.
Just like Resident Evil Revelations doesn't have gyro on the Joy-Cons, but it does on the.
Yeah,
no. But Revelations, you can use your Pro Controller. Can't you?
Yeah, but there's no gyro.
No, that's not what he's saying. We're saying you can't use the Pro Controller.
You can't use the Pro Controller at all.
It's like New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii U when it's like, oh, we gotta.
It doesn't bother me because everybody has one, but it's kind of weird.
Well, that control scheme is weird because you're going from a DS game to a Switch game, and that game was heavy on the touchscreen controls.
It doesn't bother me. I know it bothers people who don't like.
I need to see how
don't like the Joy-Cons for some reason. I hate them bitches.
Yeah, I need to see how the Joy-Con work because some people are like, "Fuck that shit," and I was like, "Guys,
would you play Super Mario Galaxy remastered with not laggy, but not as response for collecting the star bits?
Yeah, that wasn't that big of a deal in the game. I'd do it.
But what if
I played Odyssey? I played Odyssey with split Joy-Cons. That's
no, but you don't. There's no picking up star bits and having
but you had to use the motion movements and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't have to use the pointer like to be precise.
No, but what I'm saying about Galaxy is that there wasn't a lot of precision.
Well, when you had those blue stars where you had to click on them and drag Mario.
Wasn't that difficult though? It wasn't that like a.
And the star bits weren't really mandatory. Like you didn't have to collect them with the Wii remote. You can collect them yourself.
People in China are playing on a tablet, so
yeah. But I think
I don't think I'd want to play it with having to use a right analog stick to use as
People
the
been doing
pointer.
Dolphin emulator with the shit too. So
Well, I mean,
it would work, but it's just not going to be as intuitive, is it?
No.
Yeah.
it's just more of are you willing to take the hit for the convenience?
I mean, you don't need to move the camera in that game anyway because it's directed. So
I bought that game yesterday. They released it.
Well, you already bought the
Yeah,
game, didn't you?
I'm talking
One of
about HD collection.
One of these
Oh,
days we'll have to
okay.
talk about those 4 Wii games that are in HD on the Shield in
Oh yeah, we
China,
should talk about that.
because they look
yeah.
great. Like they look really. It doesn't look as good as the Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U.
No,
I
because
mean,
it's not the port. It's a
port, not a
GameCube
remaster.
version, right? It's a GameCube version, but they did some shit to it.
yeah. Anyway,
Oh, Mario Party doesn't use the Pro Controller either. Huh.
yeah, who cares? No one's gonna buy that game. That's.
Wow, what? Where the fuck did that come from?
I bet it'll probably hit 1 million.
That's
What,
just-
dude, you just said nobody was gonna buy the game, Juice.
Mario Party gonna do 2
It's gonna
million.
do
Plus,
$1 million.
I guarantee you.
No. It's gonna do $1 million. No one's gonna buy that game though.
Juice, don't you want to buy 4 separate Switches so you can stick them next to each other and watch how they interact?
Download
That is a cool, to be real, that's a cool ass.
cool.
Can you
tack,
download
but
play? Or do you all have to have the same game?
I'm
We
pretty
don't
sure
know.
4 copies of the game are required.
Brutal.
No
It's
one's
not that
ever
big of
gonna.
a deal.
Hardly anyone's ever gonna utilize that to its fullest. It's a cool idea.
Oh, you
though.
Now
say
we have to
that.
buy 4 games. It's like remember the GameCube when he had the Game Boy Advance as a
Oh
controller.
yeah, the GBA
Yeah.
connection.
Like,
Yeah, I
nobody
played
used
Final
that shit.
Fantasy.
Hey.
No, wait.
Hey,
I
bro,
played
what?
Final Fantasy Crystal
Excuse me?
Chronicles like that.
Yeah, by yourself.
Nah,
Yeah.
You can't play no Pac-Man Rush or whatever that shit was.
What? I didn't know.
Why would I want to play a game on the game?
Or
for
Four
$4?
Swords Adventures with 4 different fucking Game Boy Advances.
Hey, man, that was.
You didn't do that shit.
I played all that shit, man.
I played with two
You
Game
played it
Boys.
by yourself.
Play these GameCube games with a D-pad and 2 face buttons.
Yeah. I mean, for that game though, you didn't really need to use much else in that game.
Yeah,
For
it's
Crystal
true.
Chronicles, it was kind of
It depends
whatever.
on the game. Depends on how.
Nintendo's always done weird things, and always kind of done half measures on stuff. But to me, this was their time to get it right, the online, because I cut them some slack for the Wii U because it was free because I love the Miiverse.
Yep.
We all
And-
did.
And there were games that had every feature everybody wanted. Both Call of Duties had on-screen notifications. They had invites, join your friends.
Bayonetta had notifications and invites.
You could send friend invites for people you played with on Call of Duty, and so it was
But
possible.
the problem is it was inconsistent between games. Like
That's,
was-
well, here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's
dude.
the EA thing.
That's the thing. Activision brought Call of Duty to the Wii U and looked at the Switch and said, "Fuck that."
Yep.
that's
just
such a
tells
weird.
you-
That's such a weird turnaround.
That tells you everything right there. I
That's
think.
such a weird turnaround.
But the sad part is they're probably considering going back because money.
well, I don't think.
I'm guaranteed they've done testing. They've done something to try to see what they can get.
We get some dev kits out there and shit.
They're gonna put out what they did for the Vita, some really stripped back, lame ass version of Call of Duty.
The Vita version.
Yeah. Then you look at your Switch and then you look at the same game.
We call
You
that
look at
the-
Black Ops 2 on Wii U and be like, oh
We call
god.
that the
Just look at-
we call that the Weta version. That's what we call it.
Nice.
Look at Paladins, which is a different art style, but that has if you're a Call of Duty player, you play Paladins and you pick the character that has a gun you can aim down sights. It feels
Yeah, Call of Duty.
ripped straight from Call of Duty. It has all the polish, all the precision controls of Call of Duty, just with a different art style. Now, I don't
They
know
brought
how
Call of Duty to the Wii. I mean,
Yeah.
that runs at
Yeah.
60. It's pretty clean, so they would have to just completely change. I don't know if they could just put a cell shaded filter over it and have it run on Switch and be the same game, other than the fact that it's cell shaded or something. But not that I care about that game. I don't know what they're thinking. And like you said, it's probably just like, hey, we can't even get the features we had on the Wii U version for our Call of Duty on
At this
Switch.
point, we can't do
I mean,
anything.
the Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, and Black Ops on the Wii had voice chat
yeah,
with a headset.
with a headset. So anybody trying to
88 megs of RAM.
play what we're talking about here? 88 megabytes of RAM. 88 megs of RAM. And them games sold 1 million. Those are million sellers on the Wii, by the way.
Oh,
Be a long
Anyway,
weeks. It's gonna be like 2 weeks.
Good podcast, guys.
We're like, man, taking a shit.
Good podcast. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hopefully, you had
hitting
fun.
us cry for 2 hours.
Hopefully, you had fun listening.
I ain't
Had
crying,
fun.
bro. I'm just drunk.
These motherfuckers are gonna have to start muting people. Start next week. I'm gonna take over the podcast a little more. Guys, we're out of control.
Seriously?
People like this shit, man.
I'm just kidding.
They love this shit.
See, you know, you let me end the podcast.
Questions.
Let me end the podcast.
It's not my fault, Juice.
All you gotta do is click the goddamn button. You
I
ain't
know
gotta-
what I'm saying.
Just gonna
You
turn it
have
off in a
full
second.
control here, sir.
All right, guys.
All being a bitch.
Hopefully, you enjoyed this one. We'll see you next week.